they say is the backbone for national development, playing a vital role in shaping economic growth, fostering social stability, and enhancing overall productivity. As the workforce undergoes continuous transformation, it is crucial to not only educate but also to actively engage all stakeholders in meaningful discussions on labor policies, workers' rights, and current labor trends. In responding to these pressing needs, Clock TV introduces Walatu Walasa, a dynamic and engaging program dedicated exclusively to exploring the multifold realms of labor issues. This innovative program aims to provide a robust platform for in-depth discussions surrounding employment relations, the rights of workers, the quest for industrial harmony, and evolving landscape of work. Walatu Walasa seeks to bring to bear the challenges and opportunities facing the labor force today, making a significant contribution to public discourse. My name is Edmond Akwe, your host for Walatu Walasa.
To add all those test pots like application to something like this.
Right, that's quick. That's crazy. That was quick. He's gonna be able to draw a level.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, welcome back to the Koko Digest Morning Show. If you're just tuning in, this is the Koko Digest Morning Show, and we're about to have our online review. But before that, let me give you what to expect on today's Koko Digest Morning Show. So the lifestyle segment will be taking us through a discussion on mother's parenting styles, a mother's parenting style with her son. So yes, we'll be looking at some parenting styles, whether they are good or bad, how they've even affected the son, things like that. Then the business segment will be bringing business news as usual. Sports will also be bringing sports news. And the main discussion will continue the discussion on the 120-day social contract by our President John Dramani Mahama. And I'll be doing this with my two co-hosts who are already here. So I would love to hear from you, or don't let them hog the conversation. So when the phone lines are open, I will let you know so you can send in your comments. You can call, and then of course you can send in your comments for them in the meantime on our WhatsApp number that will be displayed on your screens subsequently, or onto our Facebook and YouTube live streams. So let's get into the trending news for today. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Era.
How are we doing?
Very well, very well.
The weekend is approaching. What should we expect? I know you guys are playing football for civil service week, which is upcoming. How is it going?
Wonderful. I think I'll leave you to the sportsman himself.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Since you're leaving it to me, I would actually bring it back to you and say that I never knew Clement was such a very good footballer. Left foot, right foot, a kappa. So
Wow.
he's actually very, very good. And we've been doing some training at the FA Sutherland Park. So I'm sure if our viewers have been seeing people train there, then it's us. Yes. So Clement.
Maybe we'll start for you guys and then we'll look for us.
I would say so far so good. Nana is playing so wonderful. Very wonderful. When he is in the mid, standing by the number 6, number 8, that's midfield. Charlie, don't go there.
It's not easy. Then I'll take secret videos and then we'll put them up on the morning show for you to see your hosts in action. So, what's trending? What news have you picked up out there?
Okay, let me start with the statement or the press release by the Minister of Communication of Government concerning the issue of Mr. Sami Jemfi's cash gifts.
The Minister of Communications or the presidential spokesperson?
Presidential spokesperson.
Yes, that is.
Presidential spokesperson. So minister in charge of...
George comes for you.
Exactly, sorry. So that is Honorable Felix Ofosu-Kwakye. And in his response, he said the president, or he specific, the presidency has actually spoken to Sami Jemfi, and based on two things, decided that they need to pardon him. First is the aspect of public apology that the Honorable CEO did. Immediately the public were talking about it. And second is the fact that they've spoken to him that thing shouldn't happen again.
Okay.
So there was a concern that is it not violating the code or violating the code of conduct that the president actually introduced, and he said no, because in the code of conduct there was not any specification of gifts from either an appointee or government official. It was not specified in terms of if giving a gift to someone. So
but
it is not
receiving.
But rather receiving is the problem. So it's not any form of violating or the code of conduct. So that is what is really trending. When you go online, people are talking about it. People are saying they expect the president to take more action. And people are saying that, oh, what the president or the presidency has done now, it's a good step, and they are warning any appointee not to move in the same direction again. So that is what's really trending.
So, but aside the warning, does that not set a precedent that maybe the next time it's somebody also giving another cash gift, and then immediately after they go and apologize, and then they are...
So I was coming to that. You know, just before the NDC came into power, just a few years back, let's cast our minds when the famous Cecilia Dapa case came up. The same Sami Jemfi came out and quoted Section 19 of the Anti-Money Laundering Act, and said that if you are having this kind of huge amounts of money in your house, there has to be an investigation into it as to how you got it, how you earned it, and all that. And then he condemned have huge amounts of money in your custody. Then now, fast forward, he's in power. This same Sami Jemfi now has over 140,000 Ghana cedis in his car. And it should be more because he was able to give away that amount freely. And that is seen because people are even touting that it wasn't just $10,000, it was more. It's more than $20,000. Having such an amount of money in your custody. Now, you talked about precedents. The president mentioned that if you violate, whenever the code of conduct, right? One thing that we saw that it was about, they're not even talking about the letter, because when you follow the letter, you're going to find out that it didn't talk about giving gifts, it talked about receiving gifts. But when you look at it by the letter, when you look at it by the spirit, right, it is now talking about the public perception. We came here the other time and we were talking about public perception, because that was what was running throughout all the, how do you call it, the code of conduct. Not giving the political class a certain negative perception in the minds or the eyes of the public. That was what it was about. This thing that he did, even the NDC foot soldiers are angry because they are saying that we have followed you and brought you into power and all that, and now you are not giving us anything. You want to give this particular one person this huge amount of money. So
even their anger is not the exactly righteous one. It's for their own personal reasons.
That aside, now two things were mentioned. He was pardoned, and another point to actually think about is the fact that they said the president was not in the country when they met Sami Jemfi. So they are sort of diverting this decision away from the president. That is what they are trying to do, and say that Mahama would have maybe done otherwise, but because he's not in the country, they took it upon themselves to actually bring down and then sort of defray any misjudgment, because they cannot actually dismiss a political appointee by the president. So that is what they are trying to say. Is that when the president even comes, we've actually counted the waters, we've advised him, so there's no need to actually sack him. That is one thing that they did. Another thing, they are talking about precedent. Another thing too is that they said in the president's speech, code of conduct, he mentioned that a public apology is one of the ways to actually sort of maybe ask for forgiveness.
Sure.
Apologizing publicly, which Sammy Jenfi was smart and he did it very quickly. Another thing was that he said the president is going to show what some sort of mess when some of these things happen. Now, these two things, public apology and then tampering of justice with mercy. What we were thinking was that this issue has happened, and then people in the presidency, the chief of staff, will now come, Honorable Julius Zebra, Honorable Nanoye Bampuado, Honorable Felix Ofosu-Kwakye, and then the team at the presidency. They will now come and then say that, okay, we are going to invite Iyoko to investigate into the sources of funds and all that. Then we know that you are setting a very good precedent as to the fact that if people can take huge sums of money and dash out, we need to find out where the source of that money came from. Nothing of that sort has been done, and then all of a sudden they are saying that the president in his address said if you apologize publicly, the president in his address says he will tamper justice with mercy and all that due to the severity of the issue. But this happening in any other country, not in Ghana, happening in an European country where a political person, a political class, knowing his salary, knowing the period within which he's been in government and all that, giving out this amount of money, and an inquiry would have called into this particular case, an inquiry would have been opened into this particular one. So, although Sammy Jenfi is a lucky man and he's a free man now, that is not going to sit well with a lot of Ghanaians, and this is going to set a precedent of Mayor Mahama de Becheme. Although Mahama mentioned that he's going to bring down his hammer swiftly upon anything that happens.
Okay. I want to say something. I stand to differ to what Nana was saying on two key issues. One of the issue is the fact that the president, we know he was not around, but there's no way that you would sit here and take a decision without informing general manager, even about the final decision. So the president is aware about the final decision.
Not that he's not aware. I didn't say he was not aware.
It's about his
but
presence.
It's about the fact that they mentioned that the president was away from the country for business.
If he was in the country and he was somewhere north and this was happening somewhere in maybe region, what difference would it make?
If he's in the country, the proximity is closer. So that means there should be a way that in this day and age, exactly.
Let me just conclude on what. So if the president had a new thing to do, aside what was communicated, he would have still done it. If the president wanted to dismiss the CEO of Ghana Good Board, he would have still done it, because just a phone call. Sorry to say, we don't need his presence in a meeting for a decision to be effective.
He could easily call but I
also beg to differ on that. Let me just land, because you've called someone for an inquiry into the situation, and then the president is not around. If the president does not listen to him or his concerns, delivering the hammer swiftly or on that particular decision wouldn't have been fair, and the dismissal would have been in question. So that's particular.
So as I said, any information that was provided to the chief of staff, the president is aware. That is point number one. Point number two.
You mentioned that the president will be briefed.
In essence, he becomes aware of it.
Exactly. After. Point number two, the aspect of precedence. I stand to differ, because if I sit here, I've committed a crime and I have been pardoned, that doesn't mean that, sorry to say, Nana would still do the same thing and he would have been pardoned.
Then it's not going to be fair. Then it's not going to be fair.
Okay, let's let Clement land.
The point that we all know that there are rules and regulations, and Mr. A did it and he was pardoned. That doesn't mean Mr. B go and do it. We will all be surprised that if Mr. A did the same, assuming I did that, I've been pardoned, and you go do that, it's intentional. It is a woody buapayo who they say or minor. And that is the thing that the president doesn't want in his governance. So this is just like, how should I say?
Deterrence?
Exactly. To all appointees that don't venture that. Because people would have remained silent if Sami Jenfu was not invited by the presidency. He was invited. Actions has been taken. So what is the next step of action? People are even of the view that this is a gift. Someone asks for a hand, he asks for arms, and you gift out the person. The issue in the public domain is the amount of money in the car, and why are you giving out dollars, not even cedars? Away from that, if it has been any ordinary person, not Sami Jenfu in question, I don't think this would be an issue.
Yeah,
no, because he's not. Any other person is not in charge of the public purse.
Yes,
this is someone who right now the whole country is good. Passes through the
This issue seems to be taking most of our time. There's a whole. I mean, I know we can find our way to.
But we have to conclude, and then we have to say quickly. So we have to say that we shouldn't condone these acts. We shouldn't.
Not at all.
We shouldn't say that and then. So what I'm saying is he's been pardoned, and it's okay because the government has the power to do so. But what we wanted to hear was that an inquiry is going to be opened by Iyoko, an inquiry is going to be opened by some of these organizations that go into huge sums of money, and I mean, even if the inquiry comes out and it says that he's justified, at least an inquiry has been opened.
Yeah, so
but then and so that it doesn't set a negative precedent. But when you just come out and say this without saying that an inquiry is going to be opened into this matter by this particular agency, then you've not done anything, and then another person may do it the same. If another person does $10,000 right now in cash and is being caught on camera, the person will also go and then issue a public apology, and you cannot judge it differently from the way you judge somebody.
I saw something on social media about Kennedy Japonsi saying something along those lines of also dashing money, but I think it was a joke or something, but let's not go into it. Nana, do you have any trending stories?
Well, it was this particular one that I wanted to talk about, and also yesterday quite a lot of things happened, but I'm sure we'll delve deeper in the
did you
sports
see the post about MPP's minority caucus saying that they are going to be calling for something about impeachment of the president because he was away and did not leave an acting president? And I want to ask, is it that the vice president was also away with him?
Oh yeah, the vice has not been in the country.
Okay, so she's not been around.
Yes.
So who is next in line?
Was not in country.
The speaker
if the president is not the vice, if the vice is not the speaker.
And then the chief justice is supposed to act after the speaker, but
where is the chief
justice also?
We have an acting
Madam Gertrude Tokono is also
but we have an acting one in her state.
But as to whether in the acting position the person can represent the head of state,
the whole concern was about the fact that the president didn't inform officially. That's the concern of the minority. And the president would officially inform his parliament. If president is traveling, he informs the parliament. Now parliament is on recess. They'll resume on I think 27th or 24th. That's next 2 weeks, Tuesday. So I don't know if the president informed the office of the speaker, of which now we can't talk about it because we don't have that details.
But Nana was talking about the acting speaker, whether he could be
acting chief justice.
But acting chief justice. If he is eligible for the position of acting chief justice in Madam Gertrude Tokono's stead, then in essence he can be the fourth person. What's the term we usually use? The fourth leader in command or something for the country, because he's been able to so to say replace our current chief justice. Then he can act in that capacity.
We should look at the technicalities when it comes to the law. And then as to whether I'm yet to get that particular part of the law, as to whether the law says that when the president is away, the chief justice when we follow when the how do you call it, the speaker is away, the chief justice that comes in, we have to find out whether
it is. Is it not?
It is. But
as the speaker,
president vice speaker, then the next is chief justice. So as to whether
I think sometimes it's either the speaker or the chief justice.
yes.
Some people tend to
so
interchange.
as to whether or not when the terminology used was the acting chief justice or the chief justice, as in that particular area of law, because it becomes very technical. Because when you just go and put the chief justice and the person is not seen as the chief justice but seen as the chief justice, then it becomes also another problem.
In acting as a chief justice, it is just for a temporary reason, right? Now, you were not just picked at random like in a raffle.
Yeah.
It is based on
Yeah.
certain criteria
Yeah.
or certain merits.
Yeah.
So, yes, the term is acting based on one or two circumstances at the moment, but when we are looking at, let's say, your credentials or whatever qualifies you to even be acting chief, because for you to get to the point of acting chief justice, it means that there is a possibility that you could be chief justice, right?
Yeah, but you know, you're always acting until you're sworn in.
Yes,
Until
but the point is that they will come and pick you to come and be acting chief justice because you are not eligible.
Yes.
But here's the case: this person is eligible,
This
and
person
he's
is
been put there.
This person is eligible, all right, but the person has not been sworn in. The key word is sworn in and then acting. You are always acting until you are sworn in.
Yes, but
when you're acting, there are certain benefits that do not accrue to you.
But here is the case: all these people are not around, and yes, you are acting chief justice. You're not officially chief justice, but maybe at this moment we need a leader for the nation, somebody to drive the nation for maybe 2 or 3 days or something. You are there as the acting chief justice because you merit that position, meaning that we know you have the qualities to be chief justice, even though yes, officially on paper you haven't been sworn in. Should it not just become something that doesn't even need that much explanation anymore?
No. What you're saying is, under normal circumstances, that should be the case. But here is the case that if he had made the acting chief justice the how do you call it?
The chief justice,
or maybe one in charge, as the head of state for that particular period of days. Now there is also the case of litigation against that particular action because the law might say that it is the chief justice that is the next in command. This particular person has not been sworn in as the chief justice, so then it becomes another issue.
But then I think the bigger question we should be asking is, does that really warrant impeachment of the president?
Well, I think impeachment is far-fetched.
Clement, what do you think?
I was trying to get the law. In the law, that's the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana 1992. When you go to chapter 008, 57.
Article 8.
Yes, Article 857. When you go to clause 12, which talks about the speaker shall, before commencing to the functions of the president, and 11 of this article, take the oaths set out in the relation of the president, of office of the president. 13 says, where the speaker of parliament assumes the office of the president as a result of death, resignation or removal from office of the president and the vice president, there shall be presidential election within 3 months after assumption. I was just trying to see.
Let's go after the chief justice. Thereafter, you're talking about which section?
Yeah, so I'm trying to get that to the chief justice, but I'm not getting. I think moving forward, we'll get that information.
More news on
exactly.
So let's go quickly into our newspapers, so time is not far spent. So, what do you have for us, businessman?
I have the graphic business, and on the front page it says that economy stable but fragile. This is by S&P Access. It is a global rating agency. They believe that yes, the economy is booming but it's fragile. It's what we are seeing currently. I think the CD dollar is around 12 cedis and some coins. They are saying that if care is not taken and the external forces that is helping us start gaining its strength, the CD can shoot back to somewhere 15 or 16 cities.
You know,
so
with this
they should
CD
still
issue,
put,
I think
put measures
I saw a post where somebody was saying they look like the COVID numbers we used to get back in the day.
But we are believing that the bank, the governor, and the finance minister, they've come out to say a lot. And the finance minister said this is not a 9-day wonder as last Tuesday we said. He said it's really a well thought planned thing that they are doing, and that is what the finance committee chair Honorable Adongo also said the last time.
So as a businessman, do you believe the city can go to like 10 cities or even hopefully 5?
So yeah, we are looking at what is happening in the country, the kind of policies, measures that the governor and the finance ministry are putting in place, and if the external forces, that is the issue between US tariffs, still remain as it is, if it's still fighting as it is, then I believe CD can still go down, because one, our gold reserve is going high. Currently we are around 31.3 this gold reserve. Our gold export is increasing significantly. As at this month, we've increased marginally by 100%. Last year it was 1.3 billion. Now it is 2.3 billion.
In just 4 months?
Yes, in just 4 months.
Wow.
When you go to cocoa exports, last year we were around 633 million, but now as at this 4 months we are around 832.
Wow.
So you could see this.
Wait, is it a build up of the previous one, or is just like last year's figures, this year's figures so far?
So I think it's the current figure we have, per the data we have from Bank of Ghana.
Is it the current?
It's just the current
So
figure.
has it added on?
Has it added
Yes,
on?
it has been added on.
Okay.
So
looking at,
the difference is just 200 and something thousand. That's
Okay, so-
and something million. That's it.
so per what we have, the total export earnings for gold as at 2025 is 2.3 billion. Total earnings for cocoa as at 2025 is 835. It's around 800 million. So this is to tell us that one,
No,
government is.
we want to find out whether it is as, because if it's reserves, then reserves are built on. So we want to find out whether it's
the
this
reserve-
year's reserve only,
Okay.
or it's just built on this year's reserve only. That is the 835. Or
Okay, so I think I have my file here. Let me just get into it quickly.
Give us the facts and
Exactly.
figures.
So when you go to the gold reserve, as I said earlier, as at 2023, our total gold reserve was around 8.2 that is metric ton, but as we speak it's around 32. That is
Okay.
gold reserve at Bank of Ghana.
So we have now 32.
32. So we have
metric tons.
additional
of
24.
Wow. Where did this come from?
No, so because of the
That
gold
is
board and
the gold bond being
yeah.
introduced.
Okay.
When you go to cocoa export, the trend is that in 2024 we had 639 million for cocoa export, but as at 2025,
is it, so my issue is that, is it like the whole
The whole
year,
2024.
2024?
The whole 2024,
So
yeah, that's what we have.
And that
And-
amount, that figure is closed, or
Yes, that figure
the trend
is-
goes up, or it
The
adds
trend-
to,
okay,
it
so-
adds to that 624
So
million.
for
that
this,
you're talking
I
about.
think the business segment will take us through this one of
I think
these days.
we did that on
You
Tuesday.
did?
We did that
Okay,
on
so-
Tuesday.
okay.
So
Then we'll
all
just
these,
refer.
all these are cushioning that the ministry and Bank of Ghana are doing. And finance ministry also made us understand that as a result of the government expenditure cut down, a lot of fiscal consolidation being put in place, a lot of relief for ordinary Ghanaian, it's going to increase our purchasing power. And they are also saying that they are really also monitoring our monetary policy, and treasury bill. It's dropping drastically, and people are now looking for ways to invest. What Bank of Ghana is doing is, when you get that money and you think you're not going to invest, it will be on you. Those days they would have ended up buying the dollars and do whatever they want to do, but
Okay.
quite unfortunate, all these
So
things are
you're
happening.
saying it's possible the dollar can rise a bit higher?
If
No,
all
sorry, the
measures
CD
can rise higher, if all the measures they are implementing are not just a fanfare, but really
So
well
my
thought ones.
last question before we move to Nanaya's newspaper: is it sustainable? Is it something that can last? Because I think I saw news out there that the CD might rise again very, very soon.
When you say the city might rise,
No,
is it
as in the dollar.
the
I keep
dollar-
mixing
the
it,
value of
sorry.
the dollar?
The value might rise very soon, even though the city is performing very well. It seems it may happen in a few months. So what's happening now? Is it sustainable? Is it something that can stay in that?
Well, Clement,
So
before
we
you
are-
come in, I want to take from an international perspective. We talked about the tariff wars, and then people saying that as a result of the tariff wars, the CD is actually appreciating. But that notwithstanding, USA reached an agreement with China on certain tariff perspectives. That was a couple of weeks ago, and this. In that same couple of weeks ago, you can see that the CD has also strengthened. It was initially 13.5, but now it's 12.72 at this particular moment. That's the CD to the dollar. So it means that irrespective of what is happening internationally, that's between the US and China, we are still seeing the appreciation of the Ghanaian cedi. When you compare that to other foreign currencies, although the tariff wars are still there, or people are attributing the performance of the cedi to the tariff wars. Now let's look at the performance of SAFA to the US dollar. Let's look at the performance of the Nigerian naira to the US dollar. You realize that they are almost stable. It's the cedi that is actually appreciating.
Okay.
So you can actually say that it's not entirely attributed to the US tariff wars.
Okay, so let's take a few comments, then we come to your newspaper. So HM Joe has a pretty lengthy one here. He says, good morning, Kokolicious lady and gentlemen. Not side with your co-host Nanaya with the amount he said. From the video, the whole amount he, Samiji, if holding was taken by the evangelist, that's $800. So why is your co-host saying he was holding $2,000 plus? Though I have an issue with Samiji if he holding dollars. Now, secondly, I think the issue.
Did the person say $800?
Let me finish, please. Thank you. Secondly,
I
think the issue is with the personality or profile of the receiver. If this had happened in a church, orphanage home, or elsewhere, we wouldn't blow it out of proportion as the public is doing. Thank you. Thank you for your comment, HM Joe. That was a pretty lengthy one.
But wait, is it the same video we've seen that HM Joe is talking about? Because when you look at the amount of money that was being held, and the amount of money she was holding,
I'll find HM Joe for you so that you discuss
that is one thing that
I have a concern. You see, when you look at the video, we were not told the denomination of the dollars. That is point number one. It was Agrada who came out to say that what she was given is $800. But we don't know the denomination.
So why would Sammy Jenfi issue a public apology for giving out $800?
It's because of the public perception.
No, it's not public perception. It's because the amount is more than that. Let's call a spade a spade. It's time that we call a spade a spade.
If black is black, let's call black about the business story you raised. So the reason we are asking the sustainability, we spoke with a lot of financial analysts. I was listening to Joe Jackson, and he made us understand that yes, if the measures put in place by the governor and finance ministry are not really calculated, it's going to affect the cedi when the dollar starts gaining its strength. And they are looking at projection of the next 9 months, all this tariff war would end. And when it ends and government didn't put good measures in place, cedi will still continue to depreciate.
Okay.
And the measure in place now is that the currency is now backed by gold. That is it. So our currency is now backed by gold.
But you believe it, but that is not the only way for the cedi to appreciate.
So business segment, I think one of these days we'll have an extensive conversation where you take us through it very well.
Yeah.
So newspaper, what's going on?
Since we are talking about gold, just before I get into my newspaper,
I
understand. But yesterday, 3 people were arrested for illegally trading.
That's in the online story, so we will get to that quickly.
Then let me look at the headlines in my particular story. Presidency resolves Sammy Jenfi 4 pass. We actually talked about it. And then prices of goods to drop within 60 days. That's Elizabeth Ekosu Ejare, that's the trade minister, is saying. BOG Governor Dr. Asiedu Pandit is also saying that he's called for continental coordination in the finance sector. Also, the main headline for the Daily Graphic is illegal miners block Brim River. This is something that is continuing. A survey was done, and then they realized that large tracts of land and just a few. But when you look at even the color of the water of the Brim River at the moment, it's really. We are not in a good position at the moment. So these are a few stories that are making up the headlines in the Daily Graphic.
Wow. If I decide we should enter this illegal mining issue, we won't finish.
I prepared a whole page to talk about it. But
yes, but you spent most of the time on Sammy JV's issue. Yes, viewers, you can grab your Daily Graphic and then get to read the stories more. So for the online news here, the Gold Board, National Security, arrests foreign nationals over gold smuggling attempt. So the Gold Board, in collaboration with National Security, has arrested a number of foreign nationals for attempting to smuggle several kilograms of gold out of Ghana. The arrest made in the afternoon, I think yesterday, are part of heightened enforcement efforts aimed at curbing illegal gold exports, which authorities say have become a growing threat to the country's mineral resources and economy. Now, sources close to the operation told a media house that the suspects were caught with a significant quantity of gold in clear violation of the Ghana Gold Board Act 2025 Act 1140, which prohibits unauthorized export of the precious mineral. Further details about the arrest and the quantity of gold involved are expected to be disclosed at a press briefing currently underway at the National Security Headquarters in Accra. So when I read a little about it, I saw that there were, I think, Indians.
Yes, they are all Indians.
And I think
they are all Indians.
I think we spoke about the fact some people were also apprehended previously, and then there were talks about deportation.
Exactly.
But these people apparently are going to be facing the
law. They should.
Yes. And I don't know, I still didn't really agree with the deportation, because if it was any other country, they would go to jail. But it seems, okay, they were trying to issue a warning, but now they're going to crack down on them.
Okay, so this issue, as you said, these 6 cases, they are all The first one happened on 29th of April. That is before the deadline. You see, the Gold Board brought out a deadline that after 30th of April, all foreigners who engage in gold trading should leave the country. So on 29th, they arrested 3 of them. And the reason why they did not prosecute them is because the deadline was not, it has not elapsed. So let's send them back to their country so that they don't come to Ghana again. This time around, they've arrested another 3 people, also in the eastern parts. I think when they said Enyinem in the eastern region. And exactly. So these 3 people are also Indian, and they were caught smuggling our gold, cash, money counting machine, and other items that they were traveling out with. So my question is, one, were they going out because Gold Board says they are going to sack all foreigners, so they were trying to pack all the gold they needed to go out with? So I think my concern is, how is the prosecution going to be done?
You should take it to Zawam, the darkest, filthiest cells for them.
What is the process put in place? How long is it going to take? Is it going to be the usual prosecution that we realize it takes a couple of years before it ends? I feel that issues like this should be handled as quick as possible, so that other foreigners within the country will be able to go out, because there are this city appreciation we are talking about. Gold Board is one of the major factors because of how now gold export is going up. Gold prices in the world market is very high now. The price is now increasing. So when we're able to export more, at the end of the day, we get more dollars into the country, and the dollars we get into the country, because of demand and supply, we push it to fall. The price goes down. That is one of the agents. So if this issue is happening, I think that the Gold Board or the national security or authorities or the coordinators, they should do more of this work, and let's get the illegal people out of the country.
So what's your take on what's happening briefly?
So you're talking about briefly, I just went into the Gold Board Act, Act 1140, and then Section 67 talks about the purchase of gold, and then it talks about purchase of gold being done by people who are licensed by the Gold Board, and the licensing situation happens further up in the Gold Board Act, and it talks about holding of gold, and it talks about the kind of people who can actually deal in the sale and purchases of gold. And then it explicitly states that foreigners are prohibited from engaging in gold business. So now what foreigners can do is, maybe they have an artifact gold which they are using as a store of wealth, but as to whether they are purchasing and selling gold, then they are prohibited. So these people have violated the law, and then just as Clement said, the act was assented in on 2nd April 2025. So quite no long ago. So not a lot of people have knowledge on this particular act. But as we always say, ignorance of the law is no excuse. So this particular one shouldn't serve as an excuse. It shows that this is the kind of sort of business that they actually deal in, and there's not only them. We have people from other nationalities that deal.
We mainly hear of the Chinese.
Yes. So in this particular case, it's actually a stern one. And once again, the issue of precedent has come in. What we are going to do to these people who have been caught for the first time is going to serve as a
deterrent to the others. Yeah.
And then also we have to talk about diplomacy in this particular case, because we would have to also look at our interests when it comes to our doing business with India.
Yeah, but it's a two-way street anyways.
Yeah.
Because if Indians are coming here to come and engage in illegal activities and we crack down on them, it's fire for fire, because you are serving in your personal interest. We will also serve in our personal interest.
Yes, so usually in such diplomatic affairs, an agreement is reached by the top level people in diplomacy.
Yeah.
Maybe some Ghanaians have also misbehaved over there.
And I'm sure they are even in jail or something.
Yes, they'll do exchange of maybe prisoners. All these things happen. So these are things that we are likely to see.
Okay. So then the last story here, rotational nurses and midwives issue a 1-week ultimatum to government to release delayed allowances. Now the Rotational Nurses and Midwives Association of Ghana has issued a firm ultimatum to the government demanding the immediate release of their long overdue allowances at a press conference in Accra on May 14, that was yesterday. Now the national president Ebenezer Boateng expressed deep frustration over nearly a year of unpaid allowances, describing it as a part of a 4-year pattern of neglect by the Ministry of Health. Now, he revealed that the delay has worsened the financial hardships of their members, resulting in the tragic deaths of 5 health workers and leaving 6 others critically ill and unable to afford medical care. Now, the association has given the Ministries of Health and Finance a 1-week ultimatum equivalent to 14 working days to provide financial clearance for all rotational nurses and midwives and settle all outstanding allowances within 14 days of approval. Now, Mr. Boateng stressed that failure to meet these demands would force the association to take further action, warning that the government's inaction threatens not only the livelihoods of health workers but also the quality of health care delivery across the country. So rotational nurses and midwives are basically or equivalent to national service personnel.
They are.
So, okay. So, they've come, just like what happens to the national service personnel we know of, where their allowances don't come early enough or on time. These people have been working for a year without their allowances, and now they're also threatening. So, what exactly is happening? Is it
per records or per precedence, the national service personnel in the aspect of the health sector, that's rotational nurse as they call themselves. The reason they are rotational is because for them, they are not at one side. When you go to the world, they can be, today they can be at this side, this side. Learning, all other places. That's what they are called, rotational nurses. For precedence or for records, over the years, there are people who are not paid on time, like monthly. Mostly they pay them after their service. I know a couple of colleagues who never received allowance during their service time as trained nurses. They receive it after their service. But the question is, even after service, it takes quite a number of months. A friend of mine completed them somewhere last year, and a year now she has not received her allowance as a service personnel from this this rotational nurses. So yeah, when you look at these people, I think, I don't know the agreement that they have with the Ghana Health Service, but if there is no agreement that they should wait for some number of a year or end of service before they pay them, I think it's wrong. The allowance they are supposed to receive is 815 Ghana cedis a month as allowance, and now government is owing them 11 months allowances. They started their service somewhere last year May 2nd 2024. So from last year May 2nd 2024 till date, they've not been paid. And if you calculate each person, government is owing that person 8,890 5 Ghana cedis. That's huge amount of money. 8,895 Ghana cedis. And these people are talking about, they are close to 20,000. So if government is going to pay this amount of money, that is 20,000 rotational nurses, that's an amount we are looking at. It's going to be 179,300,000 Ghana cedis. This is the amount of money government needs to settle this kind of people. My concern is they say they want to go on strike. The issue is now your service.
They will take further action.
No, I was listening to the president. Now your service is going to end May, this very month. So I'm wondering the impact of the strike they want to go. I don't know if you get a point.
The point is, these rotational nurses come into these health facilities and they are very instrumental. They are very needed. But if they are not paid, how are they supposed to survive?
Here's the case that a new people have been posted. A new people have been posted now to occupy the service when they go. So I expected them to take action either earlier before their service ends. I don't know if you get a point. Yes,
but even in the demand, they were saying that the allowances should be paid not only to those currently there, but even the new
previous and the new ones
coming. So it's for everybody.
Exactly. And on records, rotational nurses, they said the degree nurses have been taking their salary for their allowance. They are not part. It's only the trained service, the trained ones who have not been paid. Yes.
Well, I mean, the minister,
with which they have not been paid. Is it since May?
Since May, 11 months.
Because they are actually saying that it's just for 6 months.
Gentlemen,
when you listen to the president
yesterday, during the main discussion, so because our time for the online newspaper review is up, so yes, this brings us to the end of the online newspaper
you didn't take my submission for this particular.
We'll take it in the main discussion. The time is up. Next is the lifestyle segment, and like I said, we'll be talking about parenting style, so do stay tuned. Miriam Abnadidi and her guest will be here to educate and inform you. We'll be right back.
Labor, they say, is the backbone for national development. Playing a vital role in shaping economic growth, fostering social stability, and enhancing overall productivity. As the workforce undergoes continuous transformation, it is crucial to not only educate, but also to actively engage all stakeholders in meaningful discussions on labor policies, workers' rights, and current labor trends. In responding to these pressing needs, Clock TV introduces Walatu Walasa, a dynamic and engaging program dedicated exclusively to exploring the multifold realms of labor issues. This innovative program aims to provide a robust platform for in-depth discussions surrounding employment relations, the rights of workers, the quest for industrial harmony, and evolving landscape of work. Walatu Walasa seeks to bring to bear the challenges and opportunities facing the labor force today, making a significant contribution to public discourse. My name is Edmond Akwe, your host for Walatu Walasa.
What for? Asamu maumatia. Yamane diania. Ubinka sebudushi. Nesashia. Ibekele.
Nuwari oba biase. Papa be uba be mama mi. Bebe se bebi mi sese wunu ye.
Wala ka cho kuna na hunu wo. Kan hunu wo no anko ne yiri na wo ba ko.
E ba be. Aba no ma no.
Nye busta nya trans ya hedin. Oyire no mum mienu yi. Obi ni ma ma oba be.
Kuta mi se mo ko sie. Onye ma do. E mi nya ye fu. Na me se mo ba e.
Ko sie e fi wo sa. Ba. Sada no. E fi atat kwatati.
Wo ma ha mama kan chiro so na nanu ani ma akora no hwe.
Ni si amamro phone aye di nipa moja na ya pa ya ni. Ubetime asesa no. So
wini guso. Esa abrani beyen. Umbeso beyen.
Ahom keto amaba mu dwama no.
Ebenifo baby ade ni dara se wan fanto. Wo ba da ben a obesesa amamre. Nimpo amamre na obesesa no wote ase.
In a world where neutrality in the civil service is paramount, Ghana finds itself at a crossroad.
Clause says that a certain action should be taken, but government has to act on the basis of law. So we inquired as to what the premise for that demand is.
They say if you wish to broadcast or otherwise manifest your political allegiance or run political office, step away from the services. This is Supreme Court talking. It's not Closer speaking or Isaac Wampado speaking. This is the Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court judgment on the landmark case of Clocksag versus the Attorney General has set the stage for a profound transformation. Introducing Resetting the Civil Service. Tune in to be part of this change, because a better civil service means a better Ghana.
I find it refreshing always when I remind myself of the profound statement by the eminent civil servant, Lieutenant Anankwa of blessed memory, to the effect that it is the perfection of the civil servant that will move this country forward and not the politician.
To add all those test like application to something like this. Yes.
Alright, that's quick. That's crazy. That was quick. He's gonna be able to draw level. Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Right down the flank. Goes for a sweeping cross.
The Koko Digest morning show. Yeah, this is my first face appearing on the show. I am Miriam Abuna Adede, and this is time, the time we get to speak about things that has to do with our lifestyle or our well-being. And today, just as the song depicts, we are going to be talking about mothers. On Tuesday, I made mention of the fact that a day is not enough to celebrate our mothers, and so for me, we are still in the celebration and appreciation of our mothers. So today, we are going to be discussing one unique parenting style that has to do with the mother's parenting style, of how childhood development all comes about. So that is the conversation we are going to be having in the studio today. I have with me a mother and then a son. They are going to share with us their story and everything you need to know about this unique mother's parenting style you need to know. So stay with us, send in your comments to our WhatsApp number, which you will be seeing on our screens, and also via our streaming platforms, Facebook and also YouTube, where we'll read all your comments out. It promises to be an exciting conversation here. So let's get straight into it. So I have with me Nanayere Mankwa Osumpa for the first and Kelvin Asari, right? Okay, so welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I've already mentioned your name, but can you tell us something about you, like your life, everything, something very brief?
Okay. Good morning to all your viewers out there. My life, well, it's been good throughout till now because it hasn't been easy. It hasn't been easy. Single mother raising boys, so it hasn't been easy.
Do you have?
I have 6 boys.
6 boys?
Yes.
And Kelvin is the first, right?
Yes, Kelvin is the first. It hasn't been easy, but it's been good. It's not easy because we all know how boys behave.
Yeah, very
stubborn and all that. But growing up, I realized that the training that we got from our parents is different from how the children of generation are.
Yeah.
So if I'm not careful to have a good parenting style, trust me, it will be difficult.
Yeah.
So I had my own style of raising them, and I have boys, but
we'll come to the style. But how were you able to cope, as a single mother raising 6 boys?
Yeah, so like I said, looking at how boys behave, I decided to have my own way that will always tame them, and at the same time let them have a normal childhood as any other child, and also grow up to be what I'm expecting them to be, not stubborn, the God-fearing way and all that. So I had my own way of showing them.
Your own way, but let me ask you, Kelvin, you are in secondary school, right?
No, university.
You are in the university, so you're the first.
Yes.
How would you describe your mother's, style of raising you up?
I'll say it's relative, and it's not as strict as most parents do because we are all boys.
Okay.
Although he always let she always let us know that we should put God first.
Okay.
And if you put God first, you always be guided by the Holy Spirit. You always be guided, even if she's not around. And her way is not that strict, and I really thank God I'm alive. Because some of the things she does, that if you do something wrong, you come back and you be corrected, and then after it's very funny.
So she used to beat you, right? She says it in Ghana, right?
You send it to the kitchen and you collect with this spatula, and all that. But after that, she'll just hug you and tell you that I'm doing this for you. And at this level, even in the university, I see that all the parenting style and all what she taught me, it's been very good. And now I understand why she was doing all that.
Okay, so Mr. Evelyn, let's understand the style itself. For the mothers, watching us this morning, how did you raise these kids?
With the help of the Holy Spirit, it was easy for me because I realized that as little as you are, let's say from a year old, since they are boys, they are very smart at that time. From a year old, whatever you do, I'll correct you. You see, children will be playing with you, babies, and then they slap your face or slap you back.
Hey.
Yes. If you pinch me, I pinch you back harder than what you did for you to feel it. So when they do that for the first time and I do mine harder, it hurts. The next time they raise their hand, when you look at my face, you put your hand down.
Okay.
When you do something, if I have to beat you, I won't spare the rod. So at that early age, I started doing that. After I beat you, I pamper you.
So you know, you were being hard on these
I wasn't too hard on them.
Babies, you're supposed to love and care for them. Why is that your child will hit you and then you also hit your child?
Yes,
back?
because I realized that when they start doing those that parents do not correct them, when they start doing it, you leave him. Always you be doing it in public where there are people, something, then he will slap you.
Yeah.
Which is bad. There's certain things. So I realized I learned because I raised them in a let's say house.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of children with different training and all that. So I saw what was happening when they were up. So I don't know. So right from there, I started correcting them. When you are wrong, I make you know you are wrong. And just after I bring you sit on my lap, well, I just you will laugh over it. You just even forget. So the next time you are going to do something like that, you remember, hey, this woman, you will not spare me. You see, so in that, and then the word of God too.
The word of God,
Love God. If you love God, you love your neighbor. You will not hurt people. You will not do this. So always. So when you beat somebody, you come back for school. You say, I beat my friend. Now ask, what did your friend do? I say, oh, you did bad. The Bible doesn't say, okay, I won't do that again. And it was in them as they grow. So as it grew, you realize that no, what I was doing was for the it's sweet for me. But when you do something and I correct you, next time you are doing the same thing, you realize no, I'm not spare me.
I get
it. It was also harsh, but I combined both to be a little bit soft when I'm supposed to. And then hard.
We'll come to the softer side, but Kelvin, let me come back to you. Do you remember any instance where your mom was, you know, very hard, like very harsh at you, that today you think it was good? It was something that she did for your own good.
Yeah, it was this. My mom. One thing I love about my mom is that she hates it when you tell lie.
Okay.
Like, so it was this time he where we were in the compound house. I did something wrong, and then he was like, he will beat me for it.
Okay.
And I begged him. I begged her, sorry. And then she was like, okay, she has spared me. Not knowing this one hasn't spared me. So I did the same thing. I lied again. She was like, okay, I should go and then buy something.
Okay.
So I went. You cross this bridge. You go, and after you've run, she also tell you to run. So after I was back, I was sweating and all that. I was like, oh, I should pick a spoon from the kitchen for her. I just entered this kitchen. This woman closed the door, and the way she beat me, I was like, oh, what I thought that it was like you lied. I was like, oh, it's nothing. And growing up, I realized that if you are honest with people, people tend to like you, tend to like your honesty. Maybe you'll be in a midst of people. That honesty will make you unique and might open opportunities for you. And I have plenty of that example that has helped me in rooms.
So that discipline she gave you is reflecting today in your life. Today. Wow. But Sister Evelyn, look at this tall gentleman. You said you raised 6 boys. Were you not scared at a point that, hey, if these boys grow and then they remember the things I did to them, are they not going to beat me back or something?
Sometimes, but one thing I realize is, like I said, the fear of God. Because he put them, I always educate them about the word of God. We are all going to church together, so they learn also at church the do's and don'ts. So though sometimes I was asked, they know, and I was very afraid that maybe they might be afraid of me when they grow up. That is why I always make sure that after disciplining them, I bring them back close to me. We eat together, we chat together, we play together. They are my friends. Because it's a compound house. From school, you don't go anywhere. You don't play ball. You won't. You are in the house. I'm cooking, you are in the kitchen with me. Whatever I'm doing, you guys are there. You are not going anywhere. You get me? So if I'm beating you, cry because we are talking, we are eating. By the time you've forgotten about it.
Yeah.
You see. So though but because of that bond we had together, I'm not scared that maybe growing up they will rebel against me or that. No.
Have there been instances where you felt misjudged or people, misjudged you for how you raised your kids?
Of course, so many times, especially with Kelvin. They thought, this is a boy. Why are you disturbing this boy? Always preparing banku. He's okay. I started making him walk. Oh yes, I started making him walk. I'll give when he comes from school. I don't have money. There's soap and omo. Go and work and get money. Let's come. That you come and say today I fried fish. You say okay, I'll go. Then you go. You see, you go. So people, is he a girl? Why are you disturbing this boy? Let him go and play ball. And I didn't mind any of them. And today, all those people who were criticizing me, today they are, you've raised this boy well. This boy has to be a good. You see, so it came a lot of them, but I didn't pay attention because I know what.
Okay, Kelvin, let's talk about the hawking experience as a boy. Hawking on the streets. I know you have female friends that will be eyeing you, admiring you. How was the experience like?
So easy. I remember this one night. I came back from school just as she said, there's no money, but just as she's saying, it's not an option for you to steal. That's not even part of the dictionary. So knowing that when you coming back from school, knowing that you have to do this. Remember this one time, I just closed from school, and then you have to hurry up and go. My mom knows the time you close.
Okay.
And then you know that if you close 3:30, the time is by 4 you're in the house.
Okay.
So I go home early, and then not knowing my little brother has told my friends that I'm not around. Okay. So they wanted me to help them with work. Okay. So they just saw me with tomatoes on my head. She didn't even mention that one. They just saw me with tomatoes on my head. They were like, why is tomatoes on my head? I said it, I was like, I have to help mom out. And they just started laughing at me and all that. But I knew that I was doing to help my mom. I was doing to help my siblings. So I didn't really care. Yeah.
It's not as easy as you are saying. I understand.
It's not easy, but if
the area girls and they'll all be eyeing you and
but if you know where you're coming from and what you want to head towards, and there are some things you have to do to help out, you have to do it.
As a young boy, do you have aspirations or did you have aspirations that were guiding you as to tell us about it?
Some of the aspirations that were guiding me was the struggling of my mom.
Your mom,
and I wanted to become an engineer for my young
in Jesus' name, you will be an engineer.
And now I'm in level 100 in mechanical engineering.
Wow!
All with the help of my mom.
Wow!
And if you want to get somewhere, I'll just as my mom always advised me, you have to put the fear of God first. And I believe knowledge is always key. And one of the best books that you can get knowledge from is the Bible. You reading the Bible daily, you associating yourself with good friends. You want to become something. Associate yourself with people who do that. It doesn't matter if they are older than you. You can just talk to them. Auntie Mimi, I've seen that you're a journalist. I also want to become a journalist one day. What are some of the things you do? Most of the time, Ghanaians don't want to be honest with us. Like, if you see someone, be like, you are a banker. Please, I want to know how you became a banker. The person will be like, I did this, I saw that. But if you really listen close to the person and tell them, please, that's not really what I want to. I want to. I studied hard. Then after studying hard, I got help from this person, that person, and then I got to school. I studied hard in school, and then now I'm where I'm. You see that you associating yourself with someone doing what you want to become motivates you a lot. And my church really helped me with that. The engineers in my church they'll advise you do this, do that.
Right.
And today, I'm
wow.
steady.
We are so proud of you, our
Yes,
future
yes.
engineer. Master Blaine, let me come to you. You have 6 boys. And I know out of the 6, there will definitely be one that it will work. Or you don't have that?
I have.
You can't tell us you don't have.
I have. Oh, I have.
Okay.
I have, but the Tuewa you are saying, like I said, I am your mom.
Okay.
You are my son. You will not tell me what you want to do. Ask them. That is one of my policies. You will not tell me what to do, and you don't do what you want if it's not right. So they know it's my policy. So when you want to do it, I want to be stubborn, and I look at that stubborn. What you want to do? Okay, you go to school, you come home late, and I ask you, you don't give me any reasonable reason why you went late. Okay, go today, go tomorrow too, and be stubborn and come. You meet me. You see, so their stubbornness, that particular one stubbornness is not consistent.
Yeah.
Because when you do this today, I'll correct you. The next time you do another, so you get fed up. So as they from little they start doing, but when they grow up, the one that I'm saying that is stubborn, right now,
he's calm.
He's calm.
Yeah.
He's calm. Only just going to school, coming home late. That's the complaint that comes off. But
then with what you're saying, someone would say that it is good that you were a single mother. I'm just saying that because maybe if you had a husband, if you had a partner by then, maybe your partner would have spoiled these kids, giving them that kind of father overly, love, showing them that kind of, that's not the case.
Let me come in.
Okay.
During this whole time, I was with their dad.
Okay.
I was married to their dad at that time.
Okay.
And we were living together with their dad.
Okay.
He wakes up morning, he's gone.
Down.
Whatever happens in the house. Yeah. And even when he's around,
he doesn't care.
Because, you see, when he comes home to meet anybody misbehaving, so that is where he's going to do something. By the time you go, everybody, it's late.
Yeah.
They've eaten, they are asleep. In the morning, by the time he wakes up, they are getting ready to school. So all the training and everything was on me.
Yeah.
Okay, so as they have grown up, they don't miss that. Their father, because it's like I did everything. Though the father was around before
you met
I met my parents.
Right, so it is right that we talk about Nana himself. After 6 boys, God still opened the door for you to get to meet a chief.
Of course.
Tell us about it.
Okay, so after my experience with my boys, I decided not to get married again.
Oh.
Yeah, after my first marriage, I decided not to get married again because these boys were too much for me. Because they are boys too, so I don't need any man around. They're with me. And so, one madam of mine I went to work with, one day she was advising, said that, Evelyn, pray, when God gives you another man, get married. You cannot handle these boys alone. And one thing also is, your children will grow up and they will leave you. You will be alone. And you are still young. So after that, I decided to do that, but it wasn't my priority. I didn't care about it. But later on, I was like, okay, if God gives, I will take.
Yeah.
So as time goes on, I guess one day I met Nana.
One thing led to the other.
Then
today, or
Nana Yuri say, wow, so okay.
So if there is someone watching us today that the person has lost hope, after maybe giving birth to 3, 4, struggling, hustling, combining all kind of things together, and all hope is lost, what advice would you give to the person?
Okay, simple. Everything we live for, everything we do is by God and is with the help of the Holy Spirit. If you are always being guided by God in all that you do, He will lead you, everything will be smooth because it's been God. He's my everything always. So everything I do, I handle it over to Him. So if you have only 1 or kids, all hope is not lost. Just trust God and pray. Because if me born 6, I'm now Nanayuri. Just imagine if you have 1 or 2 and you trust God. You can even get someone that is higher in life. So hope is not lost. Just focus and trust God. That's the whole thing, because it's been God and the help of the Holy Spirit all this while.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kelvin, so would you say you're proud of your mom?
Very much.
Very proud of her. So Sunday was Mother's Day. What did you do? What did you do for your mom?
Yeah, so when we woke up in the morning, she was worried that, oh, it's Mother's Day and no one has raised her yet. Only outsiders. Not knowing, she didn't know I wanted to play music and then dance. So I just played music, raised her, danced with her, and then we ate that.
Okay. So we'll be wrapping up shortly, but let me ask you, in your school or among your friends, you have a unique parenting style growing up. How does that reflect, in your friendship? Do you knowledge to your friends?
Yeah, a lot. And you see, I went to a boys' school.
Okay.
And from the boys' school, sometimes I go and then visit my friends around at the hostel. Me going there, you see, mostly you go and then boys don't like cooking. And then sometimes you go and then you're hungry, you don't have food. That's one of the benefits I get home. They don't have food, but they have food stuff, but they can't cook. And maybe sometimes I don't have much or I don't have. But like,
you can cook.
But I can cook. And then they'll be like, okay, then Kelvin, cook, and then let's eat. It doesn't matter. You don't have to move money. As far as I don't want cooking, and then I cook and then we eat. And then sometimes people feel embarrassed to share the word of God with. You don't have to take the Bible and then come and stand in front of your friends and then do that. No, maybe you are sitting with your friend. Oh, do you know this thing happened in the Bible? Oh, really? Just for confirmation, you just bring out and then just share. It's nice, and it helps. And mostly my thanks me a lot, and then mostly when they get to know me, they want to know my mom.
Okay.
Yeah, most of my friends knows my mom. They want to know my mom. Why? Because they see that like I'm different from most of the friends they get around with, and all thanks be to her for the training she gave me.
Wow, Stephen, you should be proud of your son, right?
I'm really proud of him, because it turned out to be exactly what I wanted God to make me be. So I'm very happy when some of the friends call and they want to talk to me, just to say hello to Kelvin's mom, because of how Kelvin is. So I'm just so proud of him.
Kelvin, I forgot to ask, what's your favorite food? The one you can prepare.
The one I can prepare. Oh,
you can prepare everything.
I can prepare everything. Because sometimes she won't be around, and then my great grandmother also, she's still alive. Thank God for her. She'll ask me, Kelvin, I'm coming, but you put the wanko on fire, and they'll be like, oh, I hope you can finish it because I won't be home right. And it's all a trap, because she'll ask you to start, and by the time you realize you are done with the whole meal. Yeah. So
you can prepare groundnut soup.
Yeah, very much.
And we'll eat it and nothing will happen to us.
Nothing will happen to you. Nothing will happen to you.
I'm so proud of you. So Stephen, your last words, if someone is watching you, the person is a parent thinking of how to raise her kids, what advice would you give to her?
Oh, like I said earlier, God is all we need. So they should just keep praying and trust God, and also ask the Holy Spirit to lead them every day in all that they do. In raising your kids, you put them in the hands of God. Give them to you, so He should give you the strength, the direction, the knowledge to train them. And then it's going to end. They shouldn't lose hope because you have kids and you don't have anybody, any man, any husband. No, nothing. That's my motto. Nothing is too late with God. Nothing is too late with God, and God is always there to help you. And then I also want to thank my husband so much, so much. Mana Adokuma the first, and Kobe Ahene of Ahweyase. I want to thank him so much because I'm here today
because of him.
Yeah. And I really thank God so much for what He has done. So they should trust God, everything.
And how is the connection with him and then the kids? Between him and the
He's
kids?
the senior brother in the house, of course. So what mommy puts in him, he's also put in there.
Okay.
When you're misbehaving, then you find somewhere in
I see.
So it's like that. I've passed it on. So it's just, and we all bond together because I always want us to do everything together when they're around me and all that. Don't leave your child while you are in the house, your child is outside. While you are in church, your son or your kids are in the house. No, they should be with you wherever you are. And boys also click to their moms more. Yeah, boys they so always put your child around you. You are in the kitchen, your child is inside on phone, and you don't know what he's watching, you don't know what they are doing. Yeah. So because I always think that when you're around like this, they are watching. I even watch what they are watching, see what they are doing, and all that. So he's used to it. He can be watching something and say, "Ma, back way, ma, come and see." Then I watch it. Okay, if it's something that is not super, this one is not beneficial, don't watch it. You see, so that bond is very there. He's my friend.
Okay.
We share everything together. So
thank you so much, Nanayere, now Mankwa Osumpa for the first, and Kelvin Asari for gracing our studios this morning on, how that mother's parenting style we need to know on childhood development. Thank you so much for making it here today. Right, so I hope you have been inspired this morning. If you're a mother and you watched this, you should know that parenting style is a very, very important tool in shaping our kids. And so I hope you have taken some nuggets from this conversation we had here in the studio. I am Miriam Abena Adede. Up next is our birthday segment. Stay with us.
I heard today was your birthday. Today was your birthday. I heard today was your birthday. I heard today was your birthday.
Right, so let's get straight into our birthday celebrants. Okay, so a happy birthday to our spiritual fathers. We pray that God will continue to use you mightily to shape our lives and destinies. Thank you for being a faithful servant of the Lord and a father to us all. This is to Reverend Joseph Nakel Yankee and Reverend Stephen Kiki Yankee from your sons and daughters. Happy birthday, Jeffrey. On this special day, we celebrate the beautiful soul you are. May your year be filled with joy, good health, and countless blessings. Keep shining. This is from Wasa East Youth Empire. A happy birthday to Teresa Adobia. On this special day, I celebrate this beautiful soul you are. May your year be filled with joy, good health, and countless blessings. Keep shining. Okay. So we have this also coming from Auntie Patricia, and she says a happy birthday to my spiritual father. God richly bless you. I'm trying to look for the message. So a happy birthday to our father and highly esteemed Pastor Reverend Ato Esifie Hagan. Your teachings, words of encouragement, and prayers for us give us more than enough reasons to thank God for you. Ejapa, we say God bless you more and more in this new age. This is from your daughter Patricia Odum Awulete. Thank you so much for bringing in your birthday message. Benedict is standing by for the sports segment, and then Clement will also join with the business news, and we'll have our main discussion.
Add all those test like application to something like this. Yes.
Yeah, that's quick. That's crazy. That's quick. He's gonna be able to draw level. Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Hi music lovers, we are the Clocksack Band.
So get ready for an
Expect surprise performances, exclusive behind the scenes stories, and a chance to connect with us like never before.
Don't miss out. So tell a friend to tell a friend.
And join us for happy hour.
Get ready to rock with us. Happy hour with the Clocksack Band.
Sing. I don't wanna wait.
Labor issues. This innovative program aims to provide a robust platform for in-depth discussions surrounding employment relations, the rights of workers, the quest for industrial harmony, and evolving landscape of work. Walatu Walasa seeks to bring to bear the challenges and opportunities facing the labor force today, making a significant contribution to public discourse. My name is Edmond Akwe, your host for Walatu Walasa.
In a world where neutrality in the civil service is paramount, Ghana finds itself at a crossroad.
Clocksack says that a certain action should be taken, but government has
Hello, lovely viewers. Good morning and welcome to the Sports Update segment on your favorite morning show, the Koko Digest Morning Show. Here we bring you nothing but the best in the world of sports, covering all the action, both local and international. I am your host, Benedict Nkwatin. Join me as we dive into the world of sports. Now to the headlines. All African teams for FIFA Under-20 World Cup confirmed. Nations FC Emmanuel Arnold fined 500 cedis for goal celebration. Ghanaian stars Inaki Williams and Abdul Mumin nominated for La Liga African Player of the Year. Nottingham Forest Awuni in induced coma after surgery. Now to the main story. The 2025 FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Chile will feature Morocco, Egypt, Nigeria, and South Africa, who qualified by reaching the semi-finals of the CAF Under-20 African Cup of Nations in Egypt. Morocco defeated Sierra Leone 1-0 in extra time. Egypt, the host nation, made an impressive comeback against Ghana, winning 5-4 on penalties after being down 2-0.
Nigeria beat Senegal in a penalty shootout, and South Africa won 1-0 against DR Congo. The Under-20 World Cup will be held in Chile from September 27th to October 19th, 2025. Now to the next story. The Ghana Football Association, GFA, has fined Nations FC forward Emmanuel Arnold 500 cedis for misconduct after he celebrated a goal against Asante Kotoko by revealing a religious message. Arnold displayed an undershirt with the inscription, "I belong to Jesus," which violated league rules against displaying religious or political statements. The GFA's disciplinary committee confirmed the punishment in a statement on May 13, 2025, and also issued a stern warning to Arnold, stating that future breaches could lead to harsher sanctions, including suspension. The incident has sparked debate about the balance between personal expression and professional standards in sports. Now to our international sports news. Ghanaian players Inaki Williams and Abdul Mumin have been nominated for the 2024-2025 Sporting La Liga African MVP Awards, which honors the best African player in Spain's top flight. The award, now in its fourth year, includes 20 nominees from 13 African countries. Inaki Williams, last season's winner, is aiming to retain his crown following another standout campaign with Atletico Bilbao, with 6 goals and 6 assists in La Liga. Abdul Mumin, whose strong performances for Rayo Vallecano earned him a place among the elites, despite his season being cut short by a knee injury. The winner will be determined through a combined voting process involving fans from sub-Saharan Africa and a panel of 25 leading African sports journalists. Taiwo Awuni has been placed into an induced coma and is receiving intensive care following surgery on a serious abdominal injury that he sustained during a Nottingham Forest game against Leicester City on Sunday. The Nigerian international forward was taken to hospital on Monday after the club's medical staff highlighted the need for urgent treatment for the injury, which was sustained as Awuni collided painfully with a post. Awuni had roughly 3 minutes of treatment before getting back on his feet and tried to continue playing through injury time in the 2-2 draw. And that is it for the sports segment. My name is Benedict. Next is the business segment with Clement.
Good morning, welcome back. This is the Business Update segment, and I am Clement Yabankwe. Into our stories, the Minister for Trade, Industry and Agribusiness, Elizabeth Ofosu-Adjare, has stated that the government cannot force traders to lower prices, even with the recent strengthening of the cedi and drop in inflation. She explained that Ghana's Western market system limits direct government intervention in pricing, making dialogue with stakeholders a most effective approach to bring relief to consumers.
Her comment followed a closed-door meeting with major business associations, including the Ghana Union of Traders Association, the Association of Ghana Industries, and the Food and Beverage Association of Ghana. According to her, some manufacturers have already shown a willingness to reduce prices in response to recent improvements in the economy. She noted that while direct importers have begun lowering their prices, other groups such as GUTA and AGI have indicated that it will take some time for the benefit of a stronger currency to be reflected in the market prices.
Away from that, Tulu Ghana, the main operator of the Jubilee field, has resumed gas exports to the Atuabo gas processing plant. After resolving a technical issue on the FPSO, the company announced that gas exports had been briefly halted over the weekend due to a system fault on the offshore production platform. A technical team was deployed to identify and address the problem. Following the implementation of corrective actions, Tulu confirmed that operations resumed safely and efficiently.
As of May 12, the company is once again supplying around 100 million standard cubic feet of gas per day to Atuabo plant, helping to meet Ghana's domestic energy demand. The restored gas flow is expected to support power generation and ease reliance on other energy sources. Tullow Ghana plays a significant role in Ghana's upstream oil and gas industry, with the FPSO Kwame Nkrumah serving as a key production hub in the Jubilee field. Operating offshore since 2010, the vessel can produce up to 120,000 barrels of oil and 160 million standard cubic feet of gas daily. Named after Ghana's first president, it remains a cornerstone of the country's energy infrastructure. The company reaffirmed its commitment to maintaining safe and dependable operations that contribute to national energy security. Earlier in the year, Tullow and 8 partners carried out a 16-day maintenance shutdown of the Jubilee field to improve efficiency and reduce operational risk. During that period, an agreement with the government allowed gas to be temporarily sourced from the TEN fields to ensure continued energy supply.
Still on the energy sector, Ghana aims to phase out crude oil in its power generation, as announced by the President John Dramani Mahama. The country plans to develop a second gas processing train to enhance domestic gas supply and promote cleaner energy. Mahama noted that previous disinvestment in the energy sector is reversing, with new projects underway, including the second gas train for increased gas handling. He emphasized that replacing costly crude oil with natural gas will elevate pressure on the energy sector, which faces high cost and debt to independent power producers. Might encourage investors to partner with the government to boost oil and gas infrastructure, highlighting a stable economic environment for business growth. Still on the energy sector, particularly aspects of petroleum. Petroleum prices at the pump are set to decrease starting Friday, May 16, 2025, according to the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies. This reduction is linked to the strengthening of the Ghana cedi and falling international petroleum prices. Dr. Riverson Opon, the CEO of Chamber of Oil and Marketing Company, emphasized that the foreign exchange rate significantly influenced pricing. He noted that a stable forex rate is beneficial for consumers. This is all we have for you.
Appreciated by 6.25% against the dollar, reaching 13 cedi 60 pesos per dollar, and has also gained against the pound and euro. Additionally, S&P Global Ratings upgraded Ghana's credit ratings, citing economic growth and fiscal reforms, which may further stabilize the cedi in the coming weeks.
Sorry for that, and this is all we have for you on Business Update segment. I am Clement Yabankwe. Do enjoy the rest of the show.
stability and enhancing overall productivity. As the workforce undergoes continuous transformation, it is crucial to not only educate but also to actively engage all stakeholders in meaningful discussions on labor policies, workers' rights, and current labor trends. In responding to these pressing needs, Clock TV introduces Walatu Walasa, a dynamic and engaging program dedicated exclusively to exploring the multifold realms of labor issues. This innovative program aims to provide a robust platform for in-depth discussions surrounding employment relations, the rights of workers, the quest for industrial harmony, and evolving landscape of work. Walatu Walasa seeks to bring to bear the challenges and opportunities facing the labor force today, making a significant contribution to public discourse. My name is Edmond Akwe, your host for Walatu Walasa.
In a world where neutrality in the civil service is paramount, Ghana finds itself at a crossroad.
CLOSAG says that a certain action should be taken, but government has to act on the basis of law. So we inquired as to what the premise for that demand is.
They say if you wish to broadcast or otherwise manifest your political allegiance or run political office, step away from the services. This is Supreme Court talking. It's not CLOSAG speaking or Isaac Wampado speaking. This is the Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court judgment on the landmark case of CLOSAG versus the Attorney General has set the stage for a profound transformation. Introducing Resetting the Civil Service. Tune in to be part of this change, because a better civil service means a better Ghana.
I find it refreshing always when I remind myself of the profound statement by the eminent civil servant, the Anankwa of blessed memory, to the effect that it is the perfection of the civil servant that will move this country forward, and not the politician.
To add all those test spots like application to something like this. Yes. Alright, that's quick. That's crazy. That was quick. He's gonna be able to draw a level. Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Hi music lovers, we are the CLOSAG Band.
So get ready for an unforgettable music experience on our upcoming show, Happy with the CLOSAG Band.
We are bringing you a night filled with electrifying tunes, good vibes, and a whole lot of fun.
Whether it's singing along, dancing, or just soaking in the atmosphere, we have something for everyone. Expect surprise performances, exclusive behind-the-scenes stories, and a chance to connect with us like never before.
Don't miss out. So tell a friend to tell a friend.
And join us for Happy Hour.
Get ready to rock with us. Happy Hour with the CLOSAG Band.
Sing, I don't wanna wait.
Asamu mawati yamane diania ubinka sebudushi esashia ibetele
Ni wari oba biase oba bo uba be mama mi bebe se bebi se wunu ye
Wala ka cho kana na hunu wo kan hunu wo nko ne yiri pani na wo ba ko e ba be aba no ano
nye bo se pani atrase ahedin oyire no mu mienu yi obi ni ma ma oba be
Ikuta mi se ko sie onye ma do e mi nya ye fu na me se mo ba ebi
ko sie e fi wo sa e ba sada no e fi atatu patati
Wo mahama man kan chiro so na nanu eni ma akola no hwe
ni si amamro phone aye di nipa moja na ya pae no obetima sesa no so buene ku so e sai abrani be yenti umbe so be ye
ahom keto amaba mu dwamo no
e bani fose
baby at the end of that is one fan to her. Oh, but I mean, I'll be son, a mamre. Nimpo, a mamre, and our son, what?
Discussions surrounding employment relations, the rights of workers, the quest for industrial harmony, and evolving landscape of work. Relatu Walasa seeks to bring to bear the challenges and opportunities facing the labor force today, making a significant contribution to public discourse.
My name is Edmond Akwe, your host for Relatu Walasa.
In a world where neutrality in the civil service is paramount, Ghana finds itself at a crossroad.
Clause says that a certain action should be taken, but government has to act on the basis of law. So we inquired as to what the premise for that demand is.
They say if you wish to broadcast or otherwise manifest your political allegiance or run political office, step away from the services. This is Supreme Court talking. It's not Klosak speaking or Isaac Wampado speaking. This is the Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court judgment on the landmark case of Klosak versus the Attorney General has set the stage for a profound transformation. Introducing Resetting the Civil Service. Tune in to be part of this change, because a better civil service means a better Ghana.
I find it refreshing always when I remind myself of the profound statement by the eminent civil servant, the Tan Anankwa of blessed memory, to the effect that it is the perfection of the civil servant that will move this country forward, and not the politician.
Test what flag application to something like this. Yes. Oh, that's quick. That's crazy. That was quick. He's going to be able to draw level. Yeah. Wow. Wow.
And a whole lot of fun.
Whether it's singing along, dancing, or just soaking in the atmosphere, we have something for everyone. Expect surprise performances, exclusive behind-the-scenes stories, and a chance to connect with us like never before.
Don't miss out. So tell a friend to tell a friend.
And join us for Happy Hour.
Get ready to rock with us. Happy Hour with the Klocksack Band.
Sing. I don't wanna wait.
Whatever. Asamu mamachi ya mane diania ubinka se budushi esashia ibikini
Ni wari oba biase oba bo uba be mama mi bebe se bebi mi sese wunu ye
Wala ka cho kuna na hunu ho kali hunu wanu anko ne yiri pani na wo ba ko
e ba be aba no ano nye bu se pani atrans ya hedin oyire no mu miemi bi ni ma ma oba be
Kuta mi se ko se onye ma do emenya ya ko na me se me ya baby
ko tie esi wisa ba sada no free atatu
Wo mahama na kan chiro na nanu enima akola no hwe
Ni se amamro phone ayedi ni pa moja na ya pa yen ubetimi asesa no so buene guso esan abrodi beyenti umbeso beye
ahom ketu amaba mu dwamo no
ebeni fose bebi ade ni dara se wan fan to petro wo ba da ben a obesesa amamre nimpo amamre na obesesa no wuta
Trends. In responding to these pressing needs, Clock TV introduces Walatu Walasa, a dynamic and engaging program dedicated exclusively to exploring the multifold realms of labor issues. This innovative program aims to provide a robust platform for in-depth discussions surrounding employment relations, the rights of workers, the quest for industrial harmony, and evolving landscape of work. Walatu Walasa seeks to bring to bear the challenges and opportunities facing the labor force today, making a significant contribution to public discourse. My name is Edmond Akwe, your host for Walatu Walasa.
In a world where neutrality in the civil service is paramount, Ghana finds itself at a crossroad.
Closak says that a certain action should be taken, but government has to act on the basis of law. So we inquired as to what the premise for that demand is.
They say if you wish to broadcast or otherwise manifest your political allegiance or run political office, step away from the services. This is Supreme Court talking. It's not Closak speaking or Isaac Wampado speaking. This is the Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court judgment on the landmark case of Closak versus the Attorney General has set the stage for a profound transformation. Introducing Resetting the Civil Service. Tune in to be part of this change, because a better civil service means a better Ghana.
I find it refreshing always when I remind myself of the profound statement by the eminent civil servant, Lieutenant Anankwa of blessed memory, to the effect that it is the perfection of the civil servant that will move this country forward and not the politician.
To add all those test pots like application to something like this. Yes. Oh, that's quick. That's crazy. That was quick. He's going to be able to draw level. Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Hi music lovers, we are the Clocksack Band.
So get ready for an unforgettable music experience on our upcoming show, Happy Hour with the Clocksack Band.
We are bringing you a night filled with electrifying tunes, good vibes, and a whole lot of fun.
Whether it's singing along, dancing, or just soaking in the atmosphere, we have something for everyone. Expect surprise performances, exclusive behind-the-scenes stories, and a chance to connect with us like never before.
Don't miss out. So tell a friend to tell a friend.
And join us for Happy Hour.
Get ready to rock with us.
Happy Hour with the Clocksack Band.
Sing. I don't wanna wait.
Labor, they say, is the backbone for national development, playing a vital role in shaping economic growth, fostering social stability, and enhancing overall productivity. As the workforce undergoes continuous transformation, it is crucial to not only educate but also to actively engage all stakeholders in meaningful discussions on labor policies, workers' rights, and current labor trends. In responding to these pressing needs, Clock TV introduces Walatu Walasa, a dynamic and engaging program dedicated exclusively to exploring the multifold realms of labor issues. This innovative program aims to provide a robust
And you're welcome back to the Koko Digest Morning Show. If you're just tuning in, this is the Koko Digest Morning Show, and we're about to have our main discussion. So on Tuesday, those of you who tuned in, you were privy to a small showdown of our 120-day social contract discussion with my co-host here. And joining us is our guest. He's been here a number of times, so I'm sure some of our loyal viewers will be well acquainted with him. He's in the person of Mr. Stephen Kwashi. He's a finance expert and the CEO of Pro Ghana Consult Limited, and he'll be joining in the conversation today. As you are aware, Nanayao and Clement were here with me, and we know these gentlemen, how they like to talk. So please, I would like our very cherished viewers to also join in the conversation. So yes, send your comments, and when the phone lines are open, you can also call and take all the airtime from them, so they don't talk plenty like they usually like to. They get really, really passionate. So yes, we would love to hear from you about President John Dramani Mahama's 120-day social contract. And so let's get into it. We got to the first 5 before our time runs out, right? So yes, gentlemen, what's up? Are we prepared?
I've been called the talkative.
So you will talk, I beg.
Anyway,
please talk.
So I think Clement to give us a review of last 5. And I think we marked each for 4%. We scored each maximum of 4%. That is to get a total of 100% because they are 25. And out of the 5 that we marked, we realized that he scored 19 out of 20. And the reason why he scored 19 was because in the 4th month, right, he was supposed to abolish the COVID levy. COVID levy, and apart from all the other taxes, he abolished them. And then, as he said, he was going to buy. It was left with the COVID levy, and we talked about the reasons why the COVID levy was still left in. And then I'm sure since Mr. Stephen Kwashi is here, he's going to hit on it a lot more for us to understand the tenets of the reason why the COVID levy wasn't abolished. But anyway, I'm sure it's going to be an insightful one, especially going down. I have some few ones that I'm personally interested in actually getting to know why they are still not being done yet. So it's going to be an insightful one. Clement.
So If Clement can take us through the first 5 briefly, because I asked our viewers to call friends and family to join. So yes, maybe they would want a little, recap. Then we get into it.
Okay, so as we started last Tuesday, it's all about a 120-day social contract made or done with the people of Ghana and the president. This is the first time happening in the Republic of Ghana that there's a president promising its people what he's going to do, and after that duration coming out to give us what has really been done and what is yet to be done and what the work in progress. So I would say that president has done as we speak 127 days in office. 127 days in office, and people are saying that yes, he's doing well. Others are saying that no, he's not doing well. Others are saying the president is crawling. But here on Koko Digest Morning Show, we are also going to digest the very promises made by the president. So walking through the first 5, the first one says nominate within the first 14 days the complete list of cabinet ministers for parliamentary approval. And on last Tuesday, we got to understand that yes, within 14 days of his office, was able to nominate that group of people, and they've all gone through approval. We still say that we are yet to see other sectors like the health ministry getting a deputy, which is not yet out. On the second, number 2 says constitutes the leanest and most efficient government under the Fourth Republic in my first 90 days in office. And last Tuesday we said yes, he has the leanest because currently he's having 56 ministers appointed so far out of the benchmark he set for himself as 60 ministers. And most efficient, yes, we said yes because looking at some of the government appointees, you could see most of them have the technical know-how of wherever they are occupying. When you take the likes of the finance minister, he was a former deputy finance minister. When you take the likes of the energy minister, he was a former deputy energy minister. When you take the likes of the current deputy agric minister, we know him, he's also into farming. So with all these aspects, we said it's most efficient, but we can't conclude as we speak because it's just 127 days in office. On the third one, he said establish a robust code of conduct and standard for all government officials. And I think on this note, Nana spoke a lot about that. And he said yes, it has been launched, and currently there's an issue about some gift saga in dollars. They still use the office of the president still use the code of conduct, and they said he'll go through the process. On the fourth one says hold a national economic dialogue to discuss the true state of the economy and prepare a homegrown fiscal consolidation program to guide the budget, of which he has done that one. So the fifth one was within my first 90 days in office. Within my first 90 days in office, scrap the following draconian taxes, or to elevate hardship and ease the high cost of doing business. That is e-levy, COVID levy, 10% levy on betting winnings, and emissions levy. In conclusion, realize that the COVID levy is still in progress, and we established the fact that since COVID levy is a component of VAT, of which the president said you can't just take away COVID levy and leave the rest of the VAT system we have in the country, and they're going to do a whole review on the VAT that we have, or the value added tax, and after that the COVID levy will surely go. So this is what we go to last Tuesday.
Yeah. So the next one is within the first 90 days in office, reviewing taxes and levies on vehicles and equipment imported into the country for industrial and agricultural purposes. So has that been done?
So Yara, as you read, the sixth one is this. But before we move into that one, I wanted to take the thought of Mr. Stephen Kwashi. So far, we have given the president 19 out of 20 based on these 5 things. What are you going to give the president?
Okay, so far, I think your assessment is okay for the president, because this is not an assessment you expect the president to fail. If I were the one, I would not even feel one of it, because I'm going to score 100%. Because you are setting your own targets, knowing your capacity that you'll be able to achieve it. So
is the expectation is that you should be able to achieve all, leaving none out. It is actually in politics that people try to overpromise and underdeliver. So when working them, they are not always up to 100%. But when it comes to business, we tend to underpromise so that what we overdeliver, so that people will know that we are trustworthy. So, in general sense, like going through the first 5, I can agree with you that the president is doing well, and the commitment to do so is also important. But looking at the point, if you can go to point number 3.
Point number 3.
Or
establish number 2.
Yeah.
Constitute the leanest and most efficient government under the Fourth Republic in my first 90 days in office.
Yes. So some of the metrics is easy to judge.
Okay.
Because if you look at the leanest government, it's a simple metric for us to look at. But if you look at the most efficient government, it is a very difficult metric for us to measure.
Exactly.
So efficiency is about how to maximize your output, whilst minimizing your input. So what are the outputs of the government that we are trying to measure against, so that we see that, okay, this government is truly efficient? We don't have the ministerial metrics or the outputs that I want to mark them against, so that within 90 days you can agree that it is the most efficient. If I'm making it most efficient, it becomes even more tricky for me.
So another point of angle that we can actually look at this from is most efficient. What are we measuring efficiency in? So now there are various sectors of the country, or let's say of government that you can actually sort of measure against. You can talk about economy, you can talk about governance, you can talk about the rule of law and how it's been enforced in the country. You can talk about all these, and then you assess, and then you realize that the quality. He's talking about the leaders' government. Now you look at various sectors of the economy, the various places that people have been given mandates to actually rule. Previously, we had more than 120 ministers of states. But right now we have just 56.
Yes.
Not even up to the 60 that he promised. The 80. The 80 that he promised. The least in the Fourth Republic has ever seen. So he's talking about the leanest, and that one you can actually give him. But just as you are saying, the metric for measuring the efficiency, these are the areas that we can actually look at. So you look at the economy and you realize that, okay, we've cut down government expenditure. Fiscal policy is better. Government spending is not really commenced, but so far we are seeing positive. We are seeing some sort of lights of positivity, I should say, in that particular regard. So if you can actually say that, comparing this to what we've seen previously, then you can actually say that maybe his efficiency, because it's very subjective to measure efficiency, his efficiency or measuring efficiency in that particular line is maybe not so far-fetched.
I agree with you that it is quite subjective, and the government should help us, because so far the government is helping us with good targets and metrics. So the government should help us with their own metrics, so that when we are judging, you know, juxtapose it with their targets, so that we can, you know, make a very good conclusion. So,
but usually this is also seen as a political statement. Usually, political statements do not have objective metrics to them. They can be subjective, so that people can actually use them to say that we did this when we did that and all that. So, expect this coming from a politician. You should also maybe give room for some level of subjectivity. That's why we've actually said that. He talked about the leanest government, and then efficiency. Leanest in the sense that he's reducing the number, and then efficiency in the sense that the same processes that we are having is still going to continue. And as so far, we've seen that the number has reduced. Same processes are continuing. So we can actually say that maybe he's been efficient in that particular regard.
Right.
So I have a question though with the efficiency. Does that mean that there's going to be a standard? And if there's going to be a standard, who has set that standard? Is it going to be the previous government, or I don't know, maybe our first ever government, things like that?
Well, It depends. If you measure sort of rotten tomatoes against not so rotten tomatoes, then you realize that you are still going to end up having rotten tomatoes.
Yeah.
But just that it's not so rotten. But so it depends on what you are measuring.
Because sometimes we see that on social media they say that the previous government had set the bar so some people will say it's lower than hell and something like that. So in that sense, if let's say this government, based on what we would call efficiency, maybe their efficiency is just about 25% in their 4 years, people would still sort of give it to them that, okay, well, compared to the previous government, these people have done immensely well, even though on the generic rate or something is just 25%. So who are we measuring this government up to? Who are we measuring them against? The government wants to...
Yes, I think it's a very important discussion that we are making, because the president, as at then, was a candidate. He just made it just a statement. And I love the angle Mr. Kwashi came from, because there is no standard that we are going to measure the efficiency to. Nana made the point that let's look at what is happening in the economy, and as a result of the tenure of office, we say, oh, were they able to do well or they weren't able to do well? That is another angle of most efficiency we can look out for. But I beg to differ, because I think politicians should come to understand that when you are talking about most efficiency, bring out the benchmark.
Yes.
Like as the president has done over here. Let us know. I would agree if someone says that, well, their manifesto could be their benchmark. That's okay. If they're able to attend to all things in their manifesto, it means that they are being productive or they are not productive. But I think in Ghana we should have a broader, what do you call, a plan for the country. A national plan. That if you're a president, when you come for the first 4 years, this and this and this we want to see. So if the person is unable to fulfill that promises, then realize that this government is not efficient. But if you are going to measure against, for example, the previous government, I think that is not right. Why? Because people have been having a lot of saying that the previous government did not perform really good. So if the previous government did not perform really good, why will you match sorry to use a word as people say that, poorly performed government to this very government?
You know, these...
When you do that, you will not get the quality of this current government. So I think the president and the cabinet minister should come out with the broader picture, the 4 years.
But you know, sometimes even people in the previous government, very top officials, sometimes we see comments of theirs that they've made, quotes, where they say something like, let's say, let me use one policy as an example. Let's say the school feeding program. So NDC was in power before MPP came, right? So now we are putting MPP's administration of the school feeding program under scrutiny. Then we get these esteemed members of society or these politicians coming out to say, even when NDC was in power, they did worse than us. So why? So that is where the question is coming from. And then again, if fine, they meet everything in their manifesto, everything they said they will do, but then it puts the country in chaos. Does that mean they've been efficient?
Not at all, Yaira. That's why I think I will agree with the question that we should have a national plan. That as a government or as a president, when you come to office, the 4 years in the economy, this is what we want you to attain. If it is inflation, this is the target given to you. If it is about monetary policy, this is the target. If it's about, I'm talking the business aspect, about, like, for example, CD appreciation right now. Currently, the government is taking all the applause for it. But what happens if it starts depreciating? Will they end up will they end up blaming someone? So I think there should be a national plan. As a government, when you come to office, the first 4 years, this is what we expect you to do. And that we can really match them that, oh, they've been able to do well. They're not able to do well.
And then I have another question. I want to compare, let's say, Libya during what's his name?
Muhammad Gaddafi.
Yes, Gaddafi's time, even Burkina Faso at the moment, where the people were not exactly happy with what was going on. But if you look at the state of their economies and even their standards of living, it had greatly improved. Yes. So then, in that situation, how then do we define efficiency? Because right now in Burkina Faso, we are hearing that I think there's even a ban on imports of Western clothing, the furs that we call it. And, you know, they are trying to rather, trying to create more awareness or encourage more people to patronize their traditional clothing and things. Now, banning such imports means that there's going to be some effects on the businesses and things like that. But then also, the local businesses that are into the local clothing are also going to have a lot of attention given to them. So in this situation where people are not happy, but maybe something slightly good is happening in the economy or in some people's businesses, how then do we make the marks?
So the word efficiency, and then it's trained by the effectiveness. There are two subjective words. There's no specific metric to actually measure these two words because they are subjective, as I mentioned. What may be efficient to me may not necessarily be efficient to you, judging based on output. Your expectation might be different from my expectation. But now coming to a level drawing board, when we say in this particular regard, what would efficiency be in? He talked about within his first, that is, within constitutes the leanest and most efficient government under the Fourth Republic of Ghana in the first 90 days. So the leanest that he's talking about is the number. We've seen that the number has significantly reduced to 56. And now the most efficient. Now we are talking about the reason why it's coming together with efficiency is that previously there were over 120 ministers of state, and then they were doing a particular job. Maybe they were efficient, or maybe they were doing that particular job. But right now they've been reduced to 56, and no one is seeing the gap in the area of the jobs that they are supposed to do. 56, we have one health minister, still the health ministry is still functioning, it's still going. We have educational minister, the educational ministry, we have two agric ministers, and then so it's still going. So that is when they can actually say that they are being efficient because there is no gap in the performance or the exercise of their duties.
So meaning we're still doing as much as with less. So they are being efficient. That's what I'm saying. So it can be very subjective. So if you are going to say that we want maybe a metric to measure efficiency in this particular regard in terms of the leanest and most efficient government, then we may actually go round and round.
So I agree with you partly. I agree with you partly, and I do so because the word efficiency has been thrown around like loosely. Yes, loosely. If you come to finance, I can talk about cost efficiency.
Exactly.
I can talk about profit efficiency. Then I can now talk about productivity, even in banking. These are strict measures and metrics. So if I talk about cost efficiency and I'm measuring cost efficiency for banks, these are strict measures because the targets are there. The targets are there. So, we shouldn't allow the politicians to play around.
Because you just like you said, when you talk about cost efficiency, we have metrics to measure against. When you talk about in these accounting and then financial terms, we have clear metrics. So it then is not subjective.
Yes.
But then when we talk about the leanest and most efficient government, what are some of the things that you are going to actually use to measure and say, let's say if price earning ratio is this, that means I'm being efficient.
So is it the leanest we're able to measure?
The leanest we're able to measure because
we're almost
because yes, the word lean means that he's going to strip off a lot of
almost, for lack of a better word, almost redundant.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
But Clemens also wants to drop a few.
Let me just drop a few. Then we just quickly go to number 6. Yes, the most efficient. You see, I love the finance aspects, and I love that of Nana. The finance aspects make you understand that there are standards.
Yes.
In what we call in what we call financial reporting, we have standard.
IFRS and all.
Exactly. So when we come to governance in Ghana, we should have standards. That is what we are calling out for. So that no politicians will come and tell us today that he wants to be most efficient and he has his own way of marking the efficiency. No, Ghanaians won't take it that.
Yes.
It's just a promise. So if we say efficiency is subjective from the aspects of governance, it's because there's no standard to measure.
Exactly.
But if there are standards to measure, then efficiency here will be subjective.
No, it's not only governance.
I'm coming. Today we are talking about government. We are talking about the things happening in the country. So if we had a national plan, that could be one of the standard. That will tell you that as a president, when you come to office, probably within your 4 years or tenure of office, let's see this ABC happen in the aspect of finances or economy. It is a standard we can mark. When we come to the aspect of, let's say, other areas, health and it-related things, that's what we want to see. We can mark it. That is when we will mark you based on most efficiency. But if you tell us most efficiency and you can define efficiency in your own ways, how do we measure?
Yeah.
So I think the politicians should come back again to us. We thank what the president has done because this 120 days we are marking him. It's a standard he has set. And based on this, we can say the president is efficient within the 120 days or not. It is a standard. So this is the metrics that we are marking the president.
But then again, you keep mentioning just finance issues, but what about developmental projects, right?
That's what I'm
because
saying.
There have been situations where maybe a road construction has taken over 2 administrations.
Exactly.
So in that situation, if we are also factoring in time, because all of these social amenities are also very important and necessary for the livelihoods of our citizens. So if, like you're saying, if we have a national plan, we need to factor in time, because if I have $1 billion CDs in my account and I want to build a house, I could probably finish that house in about 3 months because I have the money for the resources. So now, if let's say all these budgets and things and allocations have been made for certain projects, then there should be a time frame within which they would complete them. But what we keep getting is some abandoned
I actually
projects and
feel
things
that
like that.
we are taking this particular word and the word being used in this context, talking about leanest and most efficient government. No, it's not. The most efficient was not just working alone. It's going along with the leanest. So it's talking about the functions of the government, whether the reduction of the number is still going to leave some aspects of governance redundant. But we are not seeing that. So it's actually talking about
it's too early for us to conclude that we are not seeing it.
No, but so far, so 120 days, whatever metric you use to actually measure that the country is performing worse or better, the metrics are there, and we are seeing them.
Okay,
whatever
Ministry
metrics.
of Health as an example, like the Tamale Teaching Hospital issue, right?
Yeah.
Now, the minister went there, he saw the deplorable state in which the people were operating, and within, I think, a few days, they got some of these needs met, right? They even had their demands met. Now, in that situation where in the previous government it's been 8 years, and let's say little to no attention has been made for just for the discussion's sake, this is more of a hypothesis or whatever word, case study, yes. So in this situation, for the past 8 years, Tamale Teaching Hospital probably has not had any attention. And now, within 120 days of President Mahama's rule or administration, they've gotten some attention. Could we use that as the metrics of marking some of these things about efficiency? Because as the minister went around to prove he's also doing his work, you can see that he met some of the demands. So if, let's say, even in the first 120 days, we've seen that, okay, this particular facility has acquired so much that they've needed for God knows how long, could that be something we can use as a marker?
Yes, it could be, but the argument I would back that of Mr. Kwashi is we need a generalization.
Yeah.
Someone would say no, others would say yes. When you talk about leanness in the aspect of numbers, it's too early for us to conclude that the various sectors are performing. It's too early.
But the main pointers of performance, the main economic indicators, the main governance indicators, the main indicators.
It's too early for us to conclude that they are performing. Previous governments, we go to understand when they came to office, they implemented a lot of things, and the things were working. Introduced PSHS, we were all happy when they started bringing a lot of things. In 2022. Dollar to city came down to a place of 19 Ghana cedis at a point, somewhere in November 2022. But it shot up to somewhere 16 Ghana cedis. At that point, we say they are efficient. So our whole issue here for discussion is that government or the people in the hands of affairs, we should get a national plan. A national plan that will tell us that indeed you came to office to serve us for 4 years. At the end of 4 years, this is what you were able to do. That to ordinary Ghanaian, we know you're efficient. If at the end of the 4 years, this is what you're not able to do, then we know you're not efficient. But so efficiency in your own ways.
This is not necessarily defining efficiency in your own way or not. This is otherwise you may be actually taking an apple and then you're comparing it to oranges. We are now looking at the whole situation over here. The person says that I'm going to maybe sort of, let's say we can actually measure it through redundancy. A lot of ministries were there. There was Ministry of Works and Housing, there was Ministry of Sanitation, Water Resources, and you could see that most of their works were overlapping. We have Environmental Protection Agency, and we have another ministry which is also sort of maybe doing the same work that the EPA is doing. So we saw that there were a lot of overlapping duties. What I'm going to do is what you're also going to do. Go to a time, Ministry of, let's say, Trade and Industry could only do something, and the Ministry of Finance had to now come in to be the people to actually come and enforce. So you realize that a lot of work is there, but then this one is saying, we will say it's in kind, because this person will say, this is my work, this is not my work, this is where you're this thing, and then it was not being efficient. So Mahama comes in and says that we are going to make it lean and efficient. Lean and efficient in the sense that we don't need a sanitation ministry together with works and housing. We don't need all these particular ministries to be there when they will not be doing any work. They will not be efficient. So when he says that leanest and most efficient, that's what, otherwise if you compare that, then you compare it to a national plan. You realize that this is a whole different,
you, but okay, Mr. Fashi wants to come in.
Different conversation altogether. The national plan, we've all agreed that there's a national plan to actually go, and then you measure efficiency in the long term based on the performance. Whether you are going towards the metrics of the national plan, that one there can be clear indicators. But if someone says that the leanest and most efficient, and the person is talking about the number of ministers, because he didn't just say the leanest, he was talking about the leanest and most efficient with respect to their functions. So their functions, whether they are being done or not, is what he's talking about, and not as to whether they are going to follow a national budget or a national plan or going.
Well, we can't limit it to that.
No, but
if we want to talk about efficiency, we will have to go the full 9 yards.
Yes,
like I'm saying, some ministries have been merged because as they were separated, they were doing the same thing. It was a duplicate thing going on,
and that wasn't efficient.
Yes. Now it wasn't efficient. Now that they've been merged, we need to see the efficiency happening. But Mr. Kwashi, you had something to say.
I have a lot to say, but it's interesting. It's interesting that we are actually revisiting this and we are getting different angles from it. I think initially we should actually question the targets.
Okay.
Before we assess the results. So that, because I've set my own targets, you need to assess, question the targets, and even review the targets. These targets were set during campaign times. If we had the time, we would have reviewed the targets and realized that, is this target actually good for us as a country?
Exactly.
What are the things that they should even put in so that it will make the targets more robust? So that when we are assessing the performance, we will also know, we that are about to assess, we know what we are looking for. Now, the fact that we've merged two ministries together, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are efficient, unless you measure it with the two targets when it was separate. The fact that we've consolidated two banks, it doesn't mean that those two banks together will perform more than when the two banks are separate, unless you match it with their performance. So what we are actually saying here is that don't let the efficient word be loose, even whether it is tied to the numbers or not. In fact, what makes it difficult for me to assess that is because of the most and the 90 days.
So let me come in here just to conclude. Now let us go back to the drawing board. Let's look at the definition for the word efficiency. It can be seen in technicality. It can be the ratio of useful work performed by a machine or in a process to the total energy expended or has taken in. That's one. And then the quality of being able to do a task successfully without wasting time, energy, or resources. Now, this is what we are talking about. Someone says that I'm going to constitute the leanest government. In the Fourth Republic, 56 ministers for a start. is the leanest we've ever seen since 1992, since we actually came into. So that is what it's saying. So now then you realize that it's adding most efficient. Now then you realize that it's not talking about any this thing, but the resources that are being put into these 56 ministries that have been ministers that have been set, the resources that are being put into them, and then whether they are able to let me just land there. Sorry, I know. Let me just land before we go. Yes, let me just land shortly. So whether they are doing the task successfully. So now you realize that resources for 120 ministers is less than resources for 56 ministers. Are they being able to carry out the mandate of their duties just as the 120 were able to carry? Yes or no? So then they are the leanest and most efficient.
We will answer that question. Are they able to put their resources in? So right after this break, we will come back, and when the phone lines are open, I will do well to alert you all so you can call and get these men off my set. So we will be right back. Stay tuned.
Add all those test bots like application to something like this.
Hey, that's quick. That's crazy.
That was quick. He's going to be able to draw a level. Yeah. Wow.
In-depth discussions surrounding employment relations, the rights of workers, the quest for industrial harmony, and evolving landscape of work. Walatu Walasa seeks to bring to bear the challenges and opportunities facing the labor force today, making a significant contribution to public discourse. My name is Edmond Akwe, your host for Walatu Walasa.
Asamu maumatia yamane diania ubinka seputuishi nesashia ibekele
Nuwari oba biase oba bo uba be mama mi bebe se bebi sese wunu ye
Wala ka tso kana na hunu ho kan hunu ho no anko ne yiri pani na wo ba ko
e ba be aba no ano
nye bu se pani atrase ahedin oyire no mu mienu yi obi ni ma ma oba be
ikuta mi se ko sie onye ma do e mi nya ye fu na me se me wo ba e
ko sie e fi wisa e ba sada no e fi atapata ti
wo mahama man kan chiro so na nanu enima akola no hwe
ni si amamro phone ayedi nipa moja na ya pa ubetima sesa no so buene guso esan abroni beyent umbeso beye
ahom keto amaba mu dwamo no
ebe ni fosi bebi ade ni dara se wan fan tuba befeto wo ba da ben a obesisa amamre nimpo amamre na obesisa no wotase
In a world where neutrality in the civil service is paramount, Ghana finds itself at a crossroad.
CLOSAG says that a certain action should be taken, but government has to act on the basis of law. So we inquired as to what the premise for that demand is.
They say if you wish to broadcast or otherwise manifest your political allegiance or run political office, step away from the services. This is Supreme Court talking. It's not CLOSAG speaking or Isaac Wampado speaking. This is the Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court judgment on the landmark case of CLOSAG versus the Attorney General has set the stage for a profound transformation. Introducing Resetting the Civil Service. Tune in to be part of this change, because a better civil service means a better Ghana.
I find it refreshing always when I remind myself of the profound statement by the eminent civil servant, Lieutenant Anankwa of blessed memory, to the effect that it is the perfection of the civil servant that will move this country forward, and not the politician.
And you're welcome back to the Koko Digest Morning Show. If you're just tuning in, this is the Koko Digest Morning Show. We are discussing President John Dramani Mahama's 120-day social contract. And I'm doing this with my co-host, Mr. Clement Yabankwe, Nanaya Asare, and our guest, Mr. Stephen Kwashi. He's a finance expert, and we are taking the 120-day social contract, the points one by one. And these men are killing me here. So, my dearest viewers, please do send in your comments to our WhatsApp number displayed on your screens, and when the phone lines are open, I would love to hear from you, your sentiments, your opinions, and of course your suggestions as well. So let's get into it. So we were still on efficiency, but I've decided efficiency talk is over. We will see more of that as the year progresses. This is 120 days. We can't judge efficiency just yet. We are seeing glimmers, but there's still room for improvement. So the 6th point is taxes on vehicles and equipment imported.
Exactly. Within my first 90 days in office, review taxes and levies on vehicles and equipment imported into the country for industrial and agricultural purposes. And this very item, they've actually started the process, but it has not yet been implemented because it needs to be submitted to Parliament. So yes, review taxes, yes, we'll give it to because they've started the process.
So, Mr. Kwashi, what do you think will be the effect of this review of taxes on and levies on vehicles and equipment imported to businesses? What are some of the things we can expect, especially from the agricultural standpoint? I remember you said you had a rabbit farm, right? Yes. So, if you go and import your combined harvester and there's just a little less tax on it now, what do you think some of the effects are going to be for you and other businesses?
Yeah, so with the taxes, when it's taken off from these equipments, we expect that people will now go in for more of these equipments in their farm. It costs less, and even if they were already taking it, they'll have surplus money to invest in other areas since they are still in agriculture. In fact, the aim of this tax waiver is to promote agricultural productivity, and not just the normal agriculture, but the agro processing. That's why we are looking at the industrial purpose. So it is a key promise that we all expect that it will be fully fulfilled, so that agricultural productivity as we want it will increase. But like we said, the promise was to review, and if we are supposed to assess it, then we'll give it like 100% pass on that, because the review has done. The implementation is not part of the 120 days. So beyond 120 days, we'll now talk about it.
But then, as somebody in the agricultural sector, what are some of your expectations with regards to these taxes? Are you expecting, like, let's say, maybe the taxes are slashed by 50% or something because sometimes, they'll say they will review the tax, but you realize that maybe the percentage of which they just take off, may not really be anything significant. It does not really change anything. So in that situation, what do you think, or what are some of your expectations with regards to that?
Yeah, so with the taxes on this industrial equipments, I don't know what it is now, but I think we can leave it to the GRA, because at this point we are looking for revenue.
Okay.
I know it's going to be adjusted in a way that will benefit both.
Okay.
So we don't want to force government with specific percentage reduction. Because people will see farmers going on strike that we want it at 50%, you give us only 20%. So we are going on strike. Let's leave it open. The adjustment should benefit both parties.
Right. So Clement, so this particular one, will you mark it next year by this time, or you mark it in 4 years?
I'll give, it said review.
Yeah, but since it's going
yet
to Parliament and everything.
Yes, to Parliament, so that we know the exact things they've been able to review. They've initiated the process, as I said earlier, so I'll give them 3.
Okay.
3 out of 4. So adding to the 90.
You're being very generous.
So
you mentioned that within my first 90 days, but the review exceeded the 90 days. So if you're even talking about it in particular, it was after the 15th of March that they actually commenced this particular one. Gradually 15th of March to 7th, how do you call it, January. Then you realize that they've elapsed the 90 days they actually said they were going to do it. So if you are going to bring your hammer swiftly, just as the Muhammad said he was going to do that, then you are also going to sort of mark them. Maybe you give them a humble 2.
I should give them a humble 2.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm giving them 2.
Okay.
Making 20.
So these examiners. Well, we have a comment here from Rosina Anati Budu. She says, great discussion. Thank you very much. Please do well to send in your comments and your opinions so that these men don't talk all the time. Yeah, so let's go to the 7th one.
So the 7th one says that commence drafting needed legal amendments and prepare for implementing the 24-hour economy policy under the office of the president. Commence drafting. These are the 2 words. Commence drafting needed legal amendments and prepare for implementing the 24-hour economy policy under the office of the president.
But this one, considering it was part of the manifesto that yes, 24-hour economy, one would ask that why wasn't this already drafted, where maybe when you come into power, you show it to the people and find out what are some of the tweaks you need to make that you're now drafting needed legal amendments and preparing for the implementation.
Let me just touch on it a little bit. When you're in opposition, right? When you draft a legal document that's going to be submitted to Parliament, it is not like for one political party. There are various stakeholders involved, which includes even members of the opposition, for you to actually speak to them and then find a middle ground. There are some of these agencies in there, and then you not being in power will not grant you the access to all of these people. So it is very difficult to sit outside the doors of power.
At least having a skeletal framework.
No, they did have a skeletal framework. That is why it was
because then the wording there does not exactly favor
so
them.
commence drafting means that you are speaking to the relevant stakeholders involved. So for instance, now they are going to speak to how do you call it, the National Labour Commission, which they were not having their people. They are going to speak to Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations. They are going to speak to all these other people that were there. And mind you, at the time, Mahama wouldn't know this person is my Labour Minister. This person is my.
I don't know.
So it's part of the manifesto, and then they have a framework behind what they want to do, which is the 24-hour.
But the way you're making it sound, I don't know if. Okay, let me just go with it. It sounds as though when they were in opposition, they were so isolated, they had no access to. But they were also in government. They were just in the minority. So all these stakeholders you are mentioning, are you telling me that they did not have access to them? Like Clement is a businessman. I can easily.
But you cannot commence in opposition. You cannot commence drafting.
No,
with these
it is a document. It's for your.
So then you're not drafting it then.
Yeah, but what I mean is that the fact that all of these people are in government and they could easily liaise with one another. I mean, this is your manifesto. This is something you want to do for us. If you are putting it down and things, you are campaigning to us. Because I think we even had some people in the public who were saying that this 24-hour economy thing, they don't even understand it. And we had even the members of the opposition saying that they themselves, they don't know what they are talking about because nobody's explaining it properly. So I think it comes back to this, that if it was properly drafted in camera, where somewhere
so it was properly drafted, but it can't be called a draft because the relevant stakeholders are not being involved.
Yeah, now why are they not being involved? Because they're all friends and things out there.
So with that, then that's like an informal thing. But when you want to talk about formal drafting and the commencements of that particular project, it does not necessarily mean you speaking to the head, you speaking to the. It's about setting up formal meetings, inviting the stakeholders involved,
Then I think
and then letting them sit down.
For considering the literacy rates in our country, these things need to be broken down in a way that helps the general public understand it properly. Because when you say comments, it means you are starting.
So basically,
but you've told us this is what you are coming to do, meaning you knew you were coming to do something like this. Then now your tendency are now starting. To somebody, that's how it may sound to them. Okay. So I'm speaking for the general public.
So I think Nana, before I talk, I want Mr. Kwashi.
Yeah, Mr. Kwashi had something to say too.
Yeah. So the key word is commence and the 24-hour economy. The discussion, this is in their manifesto. So we should expect that they've done the extensive consultation with people before even they bring up this idea. Yeah, but there are certain things you cannot do. You cannot do it when you are in opposition. You could even commence when you are in opposition.
Yeah.
But it is not official in relation to governance.
Okay.
So you have to be in government to kickstart, so that it will be on official records that they started the conversation on this day when they were in government. But I believe that since they have it as a manifesto promise, they've done a broader consultation on this, and this is also an easy target to pass because it's all about comments. So if you commence, you've commenced. That's it.
Yes,
if you commence, then you commence.
But what I would say is the president also equally gave out what they are doing so far. He said, as a result of 24-hour economy, they are employing 23,000 youth into the security agencies, be it the police, be it the National Fire Service, be it the prison service, just to make sure that security wise in the country within that time will be very good. Also, the energy sector, he also made mention that businesses who engage 24-hour economy will have lesser tariff. That is when he was addressing the press. So for me, I'll give the president 2 on this very thing. But the reason being that 1.
No, two is you are being too. I mean, because
but we need to discuss the feasibility of this
commence drafting.
Can I?
Easy. Yes.
So commence drafting needed legal amendment and prepare for implementing the 24-hour economy policy under the office of the president. Yeah, so that's what he told us. That within 120 days, he will commence drafting and prepare the implementation of
which
this.
he has done.
But it's only akakakra.
No, he said commence drafting.
They've commenced it, but let's come to the feasibility of the 24-hour. Please, let's be calming down.
He said commence drafting.
We know he has.
Has he commenced the drafting?
Yes. So
and prepare for the implementation of the 24-hour.
Preparing for implementing?
Yes. He mentioned that he's appointing how many policemen? 25,000 under the YEA and all those things.
So I should give him 4.
No, it's not. I should give him 4.
So
he has done it. He's got all the 4.
Examiners. Okay. So this one, the drafted legal amendment has been commenced, but let's come to the 24-hour economy briefly. I repeat, briefly. How feasible is this? Because I think I saw a post recently about the electric buses that with them in place, we can even scrap off torture systems. But because even the prices were lower than the usual torture systems. But the point is also that these buses, even from the Ayalolo, they don't operate 3-4 a.m.
No,
unlike Chocho.
So even
something
with that,
like Chocho is already almost, we can almost say it's already in a 24-hour economy.
So Yara, with that.
But how are other businesses also going to be? How feasible is it? That's what I want us to discuss.
So with that,
can I respond? Since you are sitting.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So Nana, that's why the president said commence drafting, meaning that they are going to look into all angles of the economy. So to answer Yaya's point, they are looking at all angles of the economy. How
needed legal amendment.
Yes, how can the ILO go to 24 hours start operation? They will look into all these things. So
and they've actually looked into it,
exactly.
And then they mentioned that the electric buses and all these buses procured under the previous regime will be the ones to be used to convey the workers from, and even they've started the people that are doing the 24-hour economy under Ministry of Foreign Affairs. They use those buses and all that. Ghana Publishing Company as well.
Because we are aware that our market women or the people that go to trade, usually between 3-4 a.m. they're out, using public transport. But we don't see these buses till about 6 a.m.
So I think when they finish with everything, we will get to know how things are going.
Joshua is already doing that. And I mean, I think I saw somebody was trying to say that we should scrap the Churchill system because of how recklessly they behave and a whole lot of issues. But how then are we going to also incorporate this into that system? Okay. And even with other businesses, because we don't even have street lights for someone to feel safe going for their shift.
He said the energy minister is working to make sure that light will be on during the 24-hour economy. So let's give the benefit of the doubt. Let's see the document.
We've given benefit of the doubt.
Let's also take it from the fact that he's not saying that. He says that commence drafting needed, and then prepare for.
Exactly.
Prepare for what are some of the things that you used to prepare for implementing the 24-hour economy? He's talked about how he's going to use the Ayalolo and electric buses. He's talked about that. You can say that that's in preparation for that. He's also talked about the security agencies and buffering up security. He's preparing for it.
Okay. So it seems because I brought transportation, we are stuck on that. But in other organizations, right, 24-hour economy, we have the general corporate work is 8 hours. So now, in 24 hours, how many 8 hours can we get? That's 4. So 4 shifts. Does that mean that we are going to have to employ more people in these organizations to run all these shifts?
So the whole idea is to.
And what about seed capital?
So they are doing. That's why I said that. Let's wait for the document.
We should wait.
If the document is then we can speak to it. That this is what they want to do. Is it really good or not? But for here, they've actually done it. As I said. So give them the 4.
All right. So the next one.
He said establish an accelerated export development council to promote exports as part of a broader strategy for economic transformation. Yes. Establish an accelerated export development council to promote exports as part of a broader strategy for economic transformation.
So being the voice of the people, even hearing accelerated export and hearing from Clement about gold board and how much gold we've already started exporting, I'm thinking of giving them the 4 here.
No, actually, they have actually done that. They've established the AEDC was already done in the previous regime. We actually saw them in action sometime in 2019. We saw them in action again sometime in 2022. So it's not something that is but just that they were dormant. But
now, so they've been empowered.
Yes, they've been empowered, and then they are now in full force, as we can see.
So examiner, how much are we giving them?
It's a question. Should we give them 4?
Oh, let's give them 4 because for this, like I always say, some of the targets are easy targets. So unless we want to discuss beyond the targets, but so far,
you should give them the 4. Okay, so the 9th one says that convene a national consultative conference on education to build consensus on needed improvements to the sector. I think with this, I would say they've actually done that. That is
they need to come and see me. I have a lot to say to them about
the educational forum they talked about, and they've done that. So I will give them 4 on that. I don't know if.
I also give them 4.
Some of these things, as Mr. Kwachi said,
it's just
and they are already efficient.
Yes.
Some of these things are already efficient.
So the 10th one says that implement the no academic fee policy for all first-year students in public tertiary institutions. That's university, colleges of education, nursing training institutions. So that is implementing the no academic fee policy.
Okay.
The 10th one.
So it seems we seem to be giving them marks as to just whether they've done it. But also need to be sure, like something like the 10th point. We already have free SHS churning out so many students into the universities, and a lot of them, there are allegations that some of them don't even really pass very well, but they are just shipped off into the university. So we need to be able to take these things apart and look into them. So no academic fee policy for all first-year students, right? Now, that is good on one hand, but the sustainability. These people who come from backgrounds that cannot afford the general university fees, what happens in the second year? What happens in the third year? All of these things also need to be considered. Then the fact that those monies that are not coming into the universities for these first years, where are they going to come from? Yes, the government is going to give it to them, but what's going to happen? Now, in the past, we've had situations where, yes, people do pay their fees, these nursing training. Even today, we had the issue of the rotational nurses and midwives not being paid their allowances. And in a situation like this, where these fees are already free, so it's the government that is handling this cost, what about the allowances? All those things, what about the burdens that's going to come onto the government? How are they going to try to alleviate these issues? These are some of the things we need to be thinking about, not just give them 4 and
no,
we are marking based
on the promise.
Yes.
So the promise was.
You don't want to know whether the promise will promise.
As to whether it's sustainable, as to whether it's being efficient, as to whether there are a lot of things coming out of it. Then that one remains to be seen.
Okay.
But have they implemented it? We can say yes, and then they have, and we are also seeing. We just about 2 days ago we saw the refund policy that they brought for people that have already paid their fees and all that. So you can actually see that they've implemented the no academic fee.
Exactly.
So yes, our phone lines have been open now. So please call and let these men be quiet to rest a little. But for now, let's take a few comments. So yes, you can send the comments to our WhatsApp number that's also displayed on your screens interchangeably with the call number. So please take note so you don't call the WhatsApp number. So we have, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Great discussion. Nice seeing you on set, Mr. Kwashi. Ma'am, my question is, how did the Jumera program and other job creation initiatives impact unemployment rates in Ghana? This is Sifa Sasante from Spintex. This one, unless I ask my examiners for you. Okay, we'll get there. Then we also have, good morning, Koko Digest. This is Georgina Sari from Sunyane. And her question is, how did the 24-hour economy policy affect businesses and workers in Ghana?
I think we've really talked about that earlier. But I want to take your thoughts. Mr. Kwashi, that 10th one. Is it implemented no academic fee policy?
Yes. Yes, he has implemented. And I was even thinking that the implementation will affect the people who are coming in September, not those who are already...
Is it for master students?
not those who are already in the system, because we saw how the free SHS was implemented. It didn't affect those who were currently in school.
Yeah.
It was those who were gaining the new admission. They benefited from the free SHS. So I don't know how the campaign went. That we are now refunding those who were already already paid.
Yeah.
And it worries me a bit. It worries me a bit because I was thinking that if they were able to pay, why do you give their monies back to them?
So
it's a campaign
why not those who have paid, why not let them rather waive the second year fee instead of refunding their money to them and running as a sort of loss?
Decision as a student. It will be your own decision, because at the end of the day, this money is going to be paid into the school's account.
Into the school's
account, not to the students in question. Because the total amount of money allocated for this is 452,940,012 Ghana cedis, and they are looking at for a student total of 156,294. So yeah, they've started the process and they've opened a portal for each student to fill in your details. They said they will not only rely on the data given to them by the various institutions, because we know how but they want.
We've all seen the national service scandal.
So they want each student to fill in the portal so that they can comment.
So I think
so let's give them the 4.
9, 10, and 11 points will all have to fall under the Consultative Conference on Education for extensive conversations to be had about how to really implement these things and make them very sustainable. So let's go to the 11th one.
So introduce the following social interventions: free tertiary education for persons with disabilities, the Ghana Medical Care Trust, that is Mahama Care. So
Mahama Care Fund.
Mahama Care Fund. Mahama Care Fund has been introduced.
Yeah.
The president promised a 6 months salary. The president 4 months salary.
All the ministers or appointees who didn't declare their assets.
1 month of your salary. And I think the free tertiary education for persons with disability too, they've actually talked about that one too as well. So this one,
but now, I think the free thing, just in order not to put too much burden on the government, I think it should be a form of student aid that students can apply for, because there are some students, even from the free SHS all the way to tertiary, they come from backgrounds where they can afford this, you know. So if, let's say, those who cannot afford it are the ones who go and apply and get the help they need, it may reduce some of the burden on people, because on the government and even some of the institutions, because some people even kind of complain that this school, this free thing, me, I can pay for it and let my child get quality education, and then, you know, because it's a blanket thing, maybe the quality may drop, and then people are now trying to put their children in private institutions and things like that. It may not exactly be helpful. So even with persons with disabilities, some of them, yes, it is a disability, but maybe their backgrounds, they have the resources to fund their own lives. What if they can choose to? I think that's something we need to consider.
So he actually mentioned that if you can and you can pay for it, you don't necessarily need to stop. What he's done is that he's brought out the codes for you to pay into the Mahama Cares Fund, so that can be transferred to. So if you want to, if you are feeling more generous, to even pay more than.
But I think this whole thing should be some sort of student aid. Okay, well, if it becomes a student aid policy, then it becomes just like the scholarship secretariat, and now it becomes a whole different issue.
So that one is also
that one's also take. It's also forget we have what we call the student loan. It's all these things is going to be as a result of the student loan that we have.
And there's a point on the student loan trust fund. Because the student loan trust fund is the one communicating this non-academic fee policy. People think that it's a loan.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. The government needs to come up with they need to up their communication.
That's exactly the wordings too needs to.
All the communication is coming from the student loan trust fund, the letterhead and everything. Some people even think it's going to be a loan that they will pay back. So if they are going to be the one to communicate, then they should let it be known well that it is not it's not a loan, but it's just a grant where you don't have to pay back.
Okay, so the 12 one, for the sake of our time, I'll run through the rest quickly. Commence the distribution of free sanitary pads to female students in primary and secondary school, of which he has done this. They have started commencing the process we talked about the last time, so that one is also 4. The 13 says institute inquiries or forensic audits into the following matters of public interest: the collapse of indigenous Ghanaian banks and financial institutions, as a supposed cost of 25 billion Ghana cedis, illegal printing of money, the 58 United States dollars, that's million National Cathedral scandal, illegal and implemented signal sources contract, that's COVID-19. So it all talks about the issue of
Japan deals,
and all these things. And I think they've started
the 13 African Games.
They started some of them.
So
I know Deloitte is working on one.
Deloitte and Touche are working.
Yes.
So they mentioned the mass sets, but what about the tablets? You remember the tablets issue?
So I think they will take them one after the other. Since they are not done, for me, I'll give them 2 for this one.
Initially, if you should ask me where they've actually reached when it comes to this, or what they've instituted when it comes to this particular one, I would say that since their findings have not been made known to the public and their progress has also not been made known to the public, it's just during when the president came to give an address on the social contracts that he had, and then the code of conduct. That's when he mentioned that Deloitte and Touche and other agencies are working to give him by the end of May some of the findings from these particular reports. Then we wouldn't have known anything about it. So in as much as possible, I would see this as a political statement that has not been yet attended to. So maybe 2 might be even more generous in my opinion. So I'll give him 0.5 or 1.
You give him 0.5. Mr. Pashi, please.
Okay, so this is actually a big campaign promise, which is the aura. This is around aura.
Yeah.
It's a big campaign promise, and if actions are being done, it shouldn't be in secret, if I would put it that way. Everything should be in public, because this is what the public, they are expecting, that you work on all these things. So
people voted based on this
particular
I don't know how come we didn't see the other part.
So there are a lot of them. I think recently we've seen the Attorney General working on the SkyTrain.
Yes.
So you can.
But SkyTrain, wasn't it an NDC thing?
No, it was in the previous. It was in the previous government. Okay. So you can see that we have a lot of them, and not all of them have been, tackled. So you want to. For me, I will just give them two. And if they say they will institute the enquiries, I'll beg them. They should make these enquiries public, so that those who want to track will track.
And they should empower the Office of the Special Prosecutor some more, because it seems from the institution of the Office of the Special Prosecutor till now, his power has, or his authority, yes, let me use authority, has sort of been shaken a little. Because I remember with the Cecilia Adapa issue, he issued some directives, and then we got counter about, I think he froze the assets, and then we got a counter that it should be unfrozen and things like that. So he shouldn't be undermined, he should rather be empowered, because this is all for audit, this is all for our nation to reclaim whatever was lost or looted.
Okay, so we'll give him 2 for 30. Let me just run to 14 and 15 closer. We just institute a government policy banning political appointees from purchasing state assets, and I know he has done this.
So with this one,
of the code of conduct.
With this one, the Achimota forest that is in somebody's will.
So I think it
needs to be brought back.
So we'll give you 4 for the 14 point. The 15 says allocate seed money for the establishment of the Women Development Bank, of which in the budget, the finance minister talked about it. He spoke about it.
So we actually came to talk about it a little bit. We talked about the Women Development Bank.
Yes,
wanted to find out whether it is a bank in itself, or it is just maybe a financial, maybe should I say, position that has been put in place for women, because the amount of money that they put as seed money, and then the capital requirement for banks, realize that the gap is over 150 million, and you realize that are they actually setting up a bank? Because to set up a bank, you need to at least get the minimum capital requirement. 50 million Ghana cedis does not do that. It's 200 million Ghana cedis. So at the moment, they have set out, we can call it, let's say, a seed money, but as to whether the Women's Development Bank is going to see the light of day remains to be seen. We've seen publications by Nano Yebampuado from the Ministry of the Office of the President, and then mentioning that the Women's Development Bank will actually come to the fore and all that. But we are yet to see any action besides the seed money that has been put in there. So we are anxiously waiting. So for seed money, we can give it. But as to whether the Women Development Bank is going to come to the fore, or are we seeing any measures or communiques in that particular regard? Then
so,
maybe I can
Mr. Kashi, yes, your take on this, and then we wrap up.
Okay,
quickly.
so on the women's,
both of you don't have last words, so don't.
So on the Women's Development Bank, I see it as it's going to be a bank, a bank that people will walk to and transact, but the focus will be on women, their businesses and stuff.
So just like ADB.
Yeah, ADB and stuff. So what I actually see or anticipate the Bank of Ghana do is maybe reviewing their banking laws to have some tiered banking. So you can have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 with different level of capitalization. Yeah, because if you've seen our industry, the foreign banks are more than the local banks. The local banks were kicked out because of this capitalization issue, capital requirements. So I foresee that the Bank of Ghana is going to create a tiered system. We're going to put some of the banks at tier 1, tier 2, depending on your capital requirements. That will make the Women's Bank feasible. Otherwise, we don't see that it will be feasible.
But talking about, just because you mentioned that, don't you think it will result in another oversaturation of the financial institutions in this particular space? Because I'm talking about the fact that for a lot of banks to be open at this point of time, so it's going to oversaturate the space.
So we out of 15, the president had 52 out of 60. Yes, 52 out of 60.
Yes. Okay, so that's like a B plus. Or
that's an A.
That's an A.
52 out of 60.
Okay,
yes.
so my very able examiners, thank you so much. And thank you so much, Mr. Kwashi, for joining us in this conversation. Thank you, my cherished viewers, for joining us. It was quite an engaging conversation with you, and I'm most grateful. We thank you so much for it. Do have an amazing weekend ahead.
Clog TV, Beyond the Policy.